Last uncle in the family. Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Thank you.
On Facebook right after this.
Yeah, we've had a tough couple weeks. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the July 13th Board of Selectmen meeting. I'd like to announce that the meeting is being recorded and transmitted via cable television. And to start every meeting, we do a Pledge of Allegiance, so please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The first item on the agenda tonight, we're going to have a public hearing on the Yard House liquor license violation. Are there some representatives here from Yard House?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Your name, sir?
My name is Timothy Perry, outside counsel for the Yard House, and with me here tonight is, Ed McLean, who's the manager, Ashley Blazewitz, who is one of the servers on the nights in question, and Jeremy Wilkes, who's the director of operations of the 3 locations in Massachusetts.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to open up the hearing. I want to explain a little bit of the rules of what we're going to do tonight. The hearing is to consider whether to impose discipline upon the license holder for violation of state laws relating to pouring licenses. The incidents that give rise to the hearing occurred on May 1st, 2015 and May 9th of 2015 and were referred to the Board of Selectmen by the Lynnfield Police Department. The procedure we're going to follow, we're going to ask, it's an informal hearing. It's not a court of law. We aren't going to have any rules of evidence. Any witnesses we have will be sworn in, and I believe we have the 2 officers here that were involved with those 2 incidents. You can certainly speak on behalf of the Yard House, or you can have them speak, however you choose. I'm going to have the Chief of Police, Chief Breen, describe what happened and give us a breakdown, and we'll have the officers also describe what they saw, and then we'll be able to ask them some questions, and then we will be able to deliberate after that and have some public input, if the public would like, on what might be a possible remedy to this. Is that clear? Is it?
Thank you, yes.
Yeah, okay. So, if you would like to make a statement at first, you can do that. Were you going to make a statement, or would you?
Sure, just very briefly, I just want to thank you all for being here tonight. I want to thank the officers and the chief for taking their time, not only here tonight, but working with the Yard House. For those who don't know, the Yard House is a national franchise that has 61 locations throughout the United States. They have 3 in Massachusetts, and who we have here tonight are the persons who are most responsible regarding the issues that have been brought before the board, but I think, as the chief will attest, he's had involvement with these folks because they've been proactive in trying to maintain their liquor license in an appropriate manner, subject to all laws of the Commonwealth. And certainly in every locality that they go into, it's of utmost importance for them to have a great working relationship, not only with the police, but with the local board like yourself, and with the general public. As you'll hear from them, it's of utmost concern to them to have safety inside and outside of their location. It does not serve them in the least to have violations of the liquor ordinances or liquor laws of Massachusetts, because that only brings potential liability for them and a bad reputation for them, both in the local community, in the state, and potentially nationwide for them. So they're here to answer whatever questions that you may have, to address the 2 incidents that were of concern for the chief that were brought before the board, and for any other matters that you'd like to discuss with them.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so what I would like to do first is have the chief come up and give us an overview, and then we can speak to each of the officers
Chairman,
involved.
if we could,
Yes.
just in the interest of time before the chief, if we could have counsel swear in any witnesses.
Absolutely, thank
He
you.
could do it all at once. So anybody
Sure.
who believes they may testify tonight, if you could stand up and counsel will swear you in.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give in these proceedings is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you, chief.
Good evening. We had a couple of incidents relating to the Yard House restaurants that occurred on the 1st of May and the 9th of May. And I have the incident reports that I'd like to read to you, and I could enter these reports into evidence. The first report was dated 5/1/2015 at 21:04 hours. This report was written by Officer Scott Fitzmyer. On Friday, 5/1/2015, I was assigned to a detail at Market Street. At approximately 2100 hours, I was dispatched to the parking lot behind the Yard House restaurant for an intoxicated party. Upon arrival, I observed Mr. Michael Hammond walking through the parking lot. Mr. Hammond was unsteady on his feet. He asked Mr. Hammond what he was doing. He stated he was looking for his car. When I asked where Mr. Hammond was coming from, he stated the Yard House restaurant. Mr. Hammond stated that he had a few drinks and that he should not be driving home. Mr. Hammond gave Officer Fitzmyer his car keys and he called a friend. Officer Fitzmyer waited for the friend to arrive, and Mr. Hammond was driven home. His vehicle was left on the scene. That is incident 15-156. I could enter that into evidence.
Thank you.
Pass that up.
Incident number 15-168 on May 9, 2015, at 22:46 hours, which is 10:46 p.m. Saturday, 9th of May, 2015, I was assigned to patrol in Area 1 in marked car 6. This was crafted by Officer Caponegro. Area 2, Officer Nath and Linfield Fire Rescue 1 were dispatched to the Yard House for a report of an intoxicated subject who was passing out at the bar. Upon arrival, I was met outside by Yard House staff and taken to the bar, where I observed a young man sitting at the bar who appeared to be passed out. Rescue showed up at this time, and he was transported to Union Hospital. Because he was transported, there is quite a lot of redactions on this, which are due to HIPAA laws, which prevent us from sharing that information. So I have redacted that information, and I'd like to enter this into the record as well.
Thank you, Chief. As far as, I think I'd like to speak with Officer Fitzmyer on the first offense first. How you doing, Officer Fitzmyer? Thank you for coming in here tonight. In the night in question, in your professional opinion, was the patron in question intoxicated?
Yes, I believed he was highly intoxicated.
In your professional opinion, was there a violation of state law?
Yes.
What are your findings that established the violation?
He was overserved at the bar. He was attempting to locate his vehicle. He was stumbling about the parking lot with his key in his hand. Security was around him the entire time so that we could find him. He wasn't even close to his vehicle when we located him.
Thank you. Do you believe they were serving and selling liquor to an intoxicated person?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have any other questions from my board members?
Officer, did you go into the restaurant after you found the patron?
I did. I actually went in to thank management because I was told that they notified the police that there was a drunk subject in the parking lot, so I just wanted to thank him for calling us before he made it to his vehicle.
How long was he in the restaurant? Did you ask that question?
He did not say.
What about the restaurant itself? They certainly acknowledged he was in the parking lot. Did they know that he was in the yard
No,
house?
they didn't acknowledge, they didn't say anything to me that he was inside the facility. They just said that they saw him stumbling about outside.
Any questions?
Did, Officer Fitzmeyer, did you get a chance to see if there was any credit card charges? How much in beverages he may have purchased there?
I did not.
When you first saw this gentleman, was his intent to initially drive home?
I believe it was. He had his car key already in his hand. And when I asked him where he was going, he said he was going to his car. He could have been going there to maybe sleep it off or go back inside, but he didn't say anything. He did state that he wasn't in the shape to be driving.
Earlier, you said you went into the restaurant. Was anybody aware of his condition?
I do not know. I went in after after we got on the ride home, and I just went in to thank management for calling us.
Thank you.
One more question. Did the manager indicate to you whether or not he knew this patron came from his establishment?
Oh, no, he did not.
Okay, thank you. Officer Caponegro, can we discuss your night also?
Evening, gentlemen.
Good evening, thank you for coming. In your professional opinion, the patron in question, the evening you were there, was he intoxicated?
He was.
Do you believe, in your professional opinion, he was in violation of state law?
Yes.
Can you give me the facts establishing that violation?
When I showed up, he was sitting in the left-hand corner of the bar. He was slumped over, passed out. It took yelling and a sternum rub to get him semi-conscious. I spoke to him. He was more mumbles than coherent sentences, and his friend stated that they had been there for a couple hours and they had been drinking before they arrived and drinking once they got on scene.
Great.
How long was he passed out? Did his friends acknowledge?
They said that he had been in that state for probably about 20 minutes, half hour, and then finally he, I guess, slipped over the edge and went unconscious.
Were you able to determine if how much in alcohol was purchased by this gentleman?
He did not purchase anything. I asked the friends that, how much he had to drink. I asked management if I could see his credit card bill, and one of his friends said that it was a group tab and he was not specifically buying.
Okay. Do we have any ideas how many
I
drinks
don't
he
know.
was served? No. Do you know how long he was at the bar?
From one of the friends that was coherent, he said they were there about 2 hours.
Officer Captain, you say coherent. Was the group of them rather
There was
intoxicated?
one that was, he appeared completely sober,
Yeah.
and a couple others that were not at the level, but had probably had a few.
Did you get the chance to speak with the server?
I did not.
How-
It became more of medical than a police call, and we just got him out of there and to the hospital.
How about management? Was the manager there to?
He was there around, yes.
Did he explain what happened?
I can't recall.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
Mr. Jim, just for the board's edification, to answer Mr. Terranova's questions, because these patrons were not arrested, there is not a criminal investigation, so the officers cannot, or the police department cannot require that the bar tabs be turned over, or request that the bar tabs be turned over, because there is no criminal investigation.
Thank you.
Can I ask a question of the Yacht House? Have they done their own investigation? Were you able to ask that?
Do you have something first, Chief?
Yeah.
Before we get to that level.
They're going to be next. We're going to have them up.
Okay.
Okay.
I'd just like to reiterate, well, I would like to ask a question of Officer Caponegro, if I may.
Sure.
Officer Caponegro, you stated that the person in question was not buying, but he was consuming alcohol on the premises.
Yes.
In fact, I think you had said to me at one point that he had consumed beer and whiskey.
There was some type of hard alcohol, I don't remember at this time, but it was beer and liquor.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks, Chief. The representatives from Yacht House, if whoever would like to speak on your behalf?
Sure. Maybe just, we'll start with Mr. McLean, who was there for the first incident, just for your edification, to expedite things, I do have the bar, well, that's the second one, sorry. The bar, I do have the bar tab for that second one that you were just asking for. There were 3 beers served to the 3 patrons who were there that night, and I'll submit that when Ms. Blazewicz testifies. But when we start with Mr. McLean, Mr. McLean, could you just state your name for the record and tell the board your position with the Yard House?
Sure. Edward McLean, the general manager of the Yard House.
And how long have you been in the service industry, sir?
It's over 20 years.
And did you go to college for hotel management?
Newbury, for hotel and resort.
Okay. And how long have you been a general manager at locations like the Yard House?
With the Yard House, it's approximately, I think, 20 months right now, maybe 21. And previously, I was a GM for 2 years.
Okay. Have you ever had
managing for about 16 years total.
So you've been managing locations with liquor licenses for 16 years?
In Massachusetts.
Have you ever had a liquor license violation at any of those locations?
No.
Are you tip certified?
Yes.
Could you tell the board what that means?
Tips and also ServSafe alcohol certification are responsible alcohol certs that you can do. Some are class-based, some are online-based. Previously, back in the day, they were all classes that we went to, and then now they've developed those into online courses. When we came into Linfield, we did check to see what was required for any alcohol servers in the town, and it was stated either was okay. And within 30 days of anyone being hired in the town, they have to have a certification, which we have been compliant with since we opened the restaurant. And I do have a list of the dates if you'd like. So that's any bartender, any server, any manager. So anyone who can be serving alcohol or responsible for serving.
Okay. And can you tell me what this document is?
Yep. This is just a list of the servers and bartenders we have in the building and their dates of expiration. One of the systems we use for scheduling is called Hot Schedules. It's an outside company that does online scheduling. They have an option there for certifications. So we can plug in alcohol certifications, and when they're coming up for an expiration date, they get a 1-month notice via email that they're expiring. They get a 2-week notice, and then the last 7 days they get a notice that they're expiring. If they don't turn a certification in up till midnight the night before, then they are automatically taken off the schedule via computer, and they can't work until they have one. And also typically leads to a performance documentation because they didn't meet the requirements.
Okay. And does this show that all of your servers at a Yard House are certified?
Yes. Yes.
I'd like to submit that to the board if I could. And you had, Yard House has 61 locations nationwide? You have to say yes.
Yes, sorry.
And how many patrons did you serve at this location last year?
As an estimate, since we've been open, we think it's about over 500,000 that we've been open a year ago, September.
And is this the first time you've been before this board on a liquor license violation?
Yes.
And could you tell us the training that your servers get?
So they go through 8-day server training, which also has some responsible alcohol service built in, along with the tips or ServSafe that they're required. We did after the chief had contacted us about these incidents, before we received anything from the board, the same week we put together a class with JBS Professional Services. They're a group that we've used at other locations in Mass for ID training, responsible alcohol service training, and they can recertify as tips, or they'll come in and specifically cater to whatever we feel our needs are, based on the town or the city. So we did that with all of our front of house. Because the concern was that potentially maybe these folks or these guests are coming in and they could be coming from the parking lot or from other locations, we had our front deskers, our bus people, our food runners, our barbacks, along with the bartender, servers, and managers all at this class, because we felt like more eyes on the public was better. So we had everyone there for a 3-hour class on Friday morning about a month ago.
Okay, and that JBS Consulting Services, that's run by a fellow named Jim Staples, who's a former police officer and a liquor license consultant, correct?
Yes.
And he conducted a surveillance of your premises on June 4th to monitor your service, correct?
June 4th, and there was a second night they came in.
And on June 5th, they did the training?
Yes.
And then on July 1st, he came back and also monitored, correct?
Yes.
and did he find any violations?
No.
And that was something that you voluntarily did because the Yard House wanted to be proactive to make sure that they had procedures and policies in place to guard against serving intoxicated patrons or patrons below 21 years old, correct?
Yes.
And are all of your servers trained to recognize whether a patron is intoxicated?
Part of the training for tips or ServSafe is behavioral cues, slurring, sleepy eyes, unsteady on their feet, lowered inhibitions, exaggerated reactions. So they've all gone through this training. Some of them multiple times. It's a 3-year course expiration, so some of them have been through this multiple times, and the rest have been through it at least once or twice.
Okay. And I think Mr. Terranova asked about the fellow who was there in the parking lot on May 1st and whether a credit card check had been run for his credit card for the evening that's in question, May 1st. Did you do that?
We ran a search on it. It didn't come up via name, so if it was just on his number at a table, it wouldn't come up via name with our computer system. We didn't find anything with his name on it, and I believe his name was Hammond. We had received that.
And that patron, Mr. Hammond, did not charge anything to any credit card at the bar at the Yard House that night. Is that correct?
None that we could find. Nothing with his name on it.
And did the police follow up with you on that?
We heard via Chief Breen about the situation afterwards. I dealt with that gentleman that evening in the parking lot myself.
Okay.
So I have something to add to that.
Well, why don't you tell us what you observed on the night of May 1st, the first incident?
I worked that evening. It was a busy night for the mall. I was on the floor and in the kitchen, so I was around the restaurant quite a bit the whole evening. I never observed that gentleman in the restaurant, so that's the best of my knowledge that he wasn't in our restaurant, but I don't know that. I know I never saw him in that building. At some point in the evening, so it's probably just before 9 o'clock, one of our barbacks, kitchen manager, and a couple of dishwashers were taking trash out, which is the back doors facing that parking lot behind ourselves and Whole Foods. The barback noticed a gentleman walking through the parking lot very unsteadily and clicking his keys, trying to find his car. So they immediately came inside and grabbed two of the managers, myself, and then another gentleman, David. Dave went to call the mall security, and I went out to see where this gentleman was going because we didn't want him driving. And all we saw at that point was that he was staggering. When I get out to the parking lot, which was very quickly from when the barback came in, the guest was between ourselves and the restaurant next door in the parking lot area. And he was very unsteady on his feet. So I went over and talked to him. I asked if he was okay, and he said he was all set. He was just looking for his car. And I did let him know that I did not think he should be driving, and based on his walking, and that, did he want us to get him a cab? What could we do for him? We had already called mall security at this point, so I was waiting for them to come over and assist. But he was not argumentative, and he was just walking, so I knew I could make sure he wasn't driving at that point if I had to stop him. So he was staggering around a bit. He and I walked around the parking lot for, I would say, about 15 minutes that we were there. And I do know that there's a detail on Friday and Saturday evenings, and security had notified the manager inside that they had let the police know that we were there. So I knew they were coming over. I stayed with him back and forth across the parking lot until the first security guard got there. I let him know what I had known at this point, that this gentleman should not be driving, and I told him he couldn't drive. I had said to the gentleman at one point that he at some point started getting a little annoyed with me, and he said to me, when I said, sir, if you get in a car, I'm going to call the police. You can't drive in this condition. He said, you can call the police. I don't care. You don't know who I am. And kind of blew me off. So waited. Security showed up, and then the second security guard showed up. And when the second one arrived, they said they were all set, and they had him, and they were all set with me. So that's when I went back into the building. And then from my knowledge from the mall, I know the officer showed up shortly thereafter, so I think it was pretty quickly after I'd gone back in the building.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Mr. McLean, can I ask a question here?
Absolutely.
At what point did you check to see if it was your patron? Was it after you had the second violation, or did you do a quick follow-up?
We didn't have a name or anything for that gentleman at that
Yeah.
point. So until we were able to get police reports and get information, that's when we...
Did you have concern that it did come from your establishment?
I was concerned that he was in that condition.
Yeah.
Because I'd been there that evening and seen this gentleman outside and knowing my staff, I wasn't overly concerned because I didn't think that there was any way he could have come from my
Because you
building.
had two violations here, one within almost a week of each one, and then the second one, which is pretty significant. You have a patron who's unconscious for 20 to 30 minutes at your bar. that to me is very concerning, that
Absolutely.
certainly there was a patron right behind your establishment, and then on May 9th, you have, I think, a very serious violation like the prior one.
Agreed.
So it's certainly, if I think that patron probably did come from, I'm just speculating, but certainly with that follow-up violation, probably came from the outhouse.
Right, and he stated he was there. Again, I didn't observe him in the building that evening, and I was there that night, so.
Did you have any more question and answers with him?
I guess I did one thing to add to
Pre-established?
that. So
No.
I did talk to the manager on that evening to see
Yeah.
if anyone recognized him, because he was still back, and none of them recognized that gentleman. So I did follow up to that extent, because at first we wanted to make sure he wasn't driving, regardless of where he came from, because as soon as we noticed he was in that condition, that was my concern. But the managers didn't, none of them recognized him at that point. There were, I think, 5 of us on at that point that evening.
And I certainly appreciate I know that your lawyer has gone through your staff and the qualifications of the staff to certainly see that, but I mean, for a patron, for Officer Caponigo to let me know that for 20 to 30 minutes is passed out at the bar, I think there's certainly, I'm concerned about right now with certainly the yard house and with how it's managing itself, and certainly, because there's a lot of people in that bar, especially on a night like that.
The second evening question, I was there that night. I wasn't there when that happened. I'd already left for the evening.
Yeah.
We have more information to add. What we can show is that, or what we have is that that party, those 3 gentlemen were there for 30 minutes start to finish. That's when their tab was started and when it cashed out after the police and paramedics had arrived.
Yeah, I think there's some misinformation here that, and it's not the fault of police. I mean, they're reporting what they were told by apparently someone who was intoxicated after the fact. But what we have is the bar bill from that night and the tab, which shows that it opened at 10:10.58, so it's almost 10:11 o'clock that evening, and it was closed at 10:42. So they were there a half an hour, and they were served, there were 3 patrons, and they were served 3 Bud Light beers. And maybe this is a good time to call Ms. Blazewicz up, because she was the server that night. But they were not there for 2 hours, as was
Even
reported.
if a patrons that show up at your bar intoxicated severely, certainly like the one in question, I mean, whether it's, I know 3 Bud Lights aren't going to do that type of, have that type of an effect.
Absolutely, and that's why I think what needs to be made clear was that this fellow was not intoxicated when he showed up, that he was passed out, not from 1 Bud Light that he received from the server, but from some other medical issue that he had. And I think Ms. Blazewitz's testimony might help in that regard, because she served him that night, and she was with him. So if I could, maybe just have
Sure.
Ms. Blazewicz approach. And why don't we just get right to that point, and just, why don't you introduce
Thank
yourself,
you for
your
coming.
name and your full name for the record, and then we'll get
Okay.
to it.
My name is Ashley Marilou Blazewicz.
Okay, and how long have you worked at the Yard House?
I've been with the company for almost 5 years. I've worked in all 3 locations throughout Massachusetts. A year ago, I moved up to Wakefield, so I know Ed for about 4 years, so this was a good move for me.
Okay, and are you tip certified?
I'm tip certified.
Have you been trained on identifying intoxicating patrons?
Yes. I'm a certified trainer for this company. So I train other bartenders and managers in training.
Okay, can you just tell them what happened that night with regards to these 3 gentlemen?
The 3 gentlemen came up to the bar in my section. I was in section 1, so I had when you come into the establishment, I'm the front side towards the kitchen. The 3 gentlemen, I knew one of the gentlemen. He's a regular. I carded all 3 of them, had conversations. They acted like they wanted to stay for the rest of the night. They wanted to do some dinner. They asked me for 3 Bud Lights. I gave them 3 Bud Lights. And then at 10:10, I opened the tab under Tommy, because Tommy is the regular that comes in frequently with his girlfriend. They wanted seats at the bar. We gave them seats because he's kind of like a regular. Set them up for some food. They didn't order any food. Then I got cut at 10:15 by another bartender. I went out back to do money, start my side work. I came back around like 10:25, 10:30, and that's when I realized the 2 guests and the one that was sick was being held up by my manager Daniels, my other manager Drew was on the phone with the police and the EMTs, and my other manager, Mary, was holding gloves, a mask, and a bag. I went up to Tommy to be like, is everything okay? Like, I thought it could have been something like a diabetic type of situation. He only drank half his beer, but he was very pale, sweating, and was vomiting on the bar. So by then the bar got busy, so I got back onto the bar and did circles because the managers had everything under control. And then by like 10:35, the ambulance came.
So when you first observed this gentleman when he got there, he did not appear
Nope.
intoxicated to you?
Had a conversation with me, his friend had a conversation with me, they know Tommy, all were asking me like, what's the scene tonight, meaning like, who's around, who do they know? They made it clear that they're gonna be there for another, like, until we close, and that's around 1 o'clock.
Okay. And so, and there was roughly a half hour in between the time when you first observed him and the time that
Yep.
he had the issue?
It was like in and out.
Okay. Because the testimony or the report from our local police were that he was intoxicated, and he was intoxicated to the point where he passed out. And the concern that we all have is that you didn't recognize the point that he was intoxicated when he came in, even though it may not have been in your establishment, and he still got served. All right, that is still the same problem that we're talking about. Whether he drank in your establishment or not, it's recognizing somebody that has had too much to drink. And that's the problem that we have here. And I think whether he's had a half a beer or not, there's been no other evidence or no other testimony or reports that indicated that he was anything else but intoxicated. And I don't know if the police had a follow-up or anything. Officer Caponegro, was there any indication that he had a medical issue of any other type?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I spoke to the fire department out in the rescue, and they, at that brief, they had just started their look over of him, and it was the belief that he was intoxicated.
Okay.
And you said you found hard alcohol on one of them?
Earlier in the day,
Sorry, this particular subject we were speaking about is one that was sent in the rescue to the hospital, is protected by HIPAA laws.
Yeah.
So we cannot communicate anything regarding his medical condition.
Okay.
We were unable to research whether or not he was treated at the hospital, because the hospital will not share that information with us, but likewise, we cannot share that information with you.
Right, but we're going by what our impression was and what your initial observance was when you were at the location.
I'll defer to the fire chief, but I'm not going to have my officer right now comment on the treatment of that particular person, because I feel, my opinion is that would be protected.
Yeah, I'm just asking what he observed when he saw the gentleman. That's what I'm
You
asking.
did observe, but it was hard alcohol he had.
speaking with his friends, because he wasn't talkative, they said that they had been drinking before they arrived there, and they had consumed hard alcohol.
Not at where?
I don't know where they consumed. They gave the impression that they gave statements that this was intoxication.
Okay. Any questions, Tom?
Yeah, Mr. Mullen, I have a question for you. Could you clear something up for me? If a patron goes to bar A and then later goes to the Yard House and has another beverage and a situation like this occurs, at what point is there a transfer of responsibility, or is there even a transfer of responsibility?
Well, in the situation you posit, you could see both bars being legally responsible. If the first bar overserved, then they're in violation. It's the obligation of the second bar to make an assessment of the patron and decide whether he is too intoxicated to serve.
So would it be their responsibility to not serve him?
If they if they look at him and they determine that, or they should determine that he is intoxicated, then they have a duty to not serve him. That's right.
And it's your testimony, ma'am, that you believe he was not intoxicated?
I've refused service before. I've had people come in here, they're like, you don't know, you're not from this area, and I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't feel safe serving you. I stand by my guard. He was not belligerently drunk. He had a conversation with me. He seemed fine.
Is it Is it appropriate for the fire chief to comment regarding his EMTs? Mr. Muller?
A comment in what way?
What their opinion was of the situation?
Well, it would be best to hear from the EMTs themselves. If they're not around and the chief knows from discussion with them, then we can hear from him.
Chief, are you aware of this situation? Okay. Officer Caponegro? How long have you been an officer?
3 years.
And how many situations like this have you seen?
Are you asking intoxicated people in general, or
Intoxicated people in general.
over 100?
Okay. And clearly we could see how there might be a bias as to views, point of views. And the concern is keeping a very safe area. As you know, Market Street spills right out into our neighborhoods, which is extremely alarming for myself and I'm sure my fellow selectmen. Someone makes a wrong turn, they're driving into someone's house. Very, very alarming. Very alarming for this to be happening. To have 2 incidences in 2 weeks, heck of a coincidence. I hear everything that you're saying, but I am concerned. Why would someone say, in the first situation, what is it? Let me get the right date. May 1st situation, we have someone who volunteered the information. He came from the yard house. What benefit does that gentleman have to say he came from the yard house and not a different restaurant?
Can I?
Sure.
I don't know why he said it. I do know the back parking lot where we were standing that night, the only visible sign besides Whole Foods is Yard House. That's the only one you can see from that back lot. So I don't know if that it was some kind of influence on him, but I don't know why he said what he said. I just know I didn't.
Mr. Fitzmyer, this gentleman's condition, do you think he could have seen that far?
Can't say, to be honest with you.
Just having a problem with that.
I understand why.
With thinking about that if someone, is unstable on their feet, what kind of vision might they have? I'm just applying some logic and common sense to the situation, and I'm having a problem connecting what you're saying.
Absolutely.
The second situation is breathtaking. How, if the person had a medical issue, then it would have been in your best interest to try to find that out and reach back out to that person and come tonight with some information regarding that matter, if possible. Because just looking at this situation, hearing from the officers, that's not a very pretty picture, especially coming on the footsteps of what happened on May 1st. It might affect your credibility in an average person's mind.
Well, just to address that, I mean, we have much less ability than the police, certainly, to find out any information about a medical situation that this person was facing. And I think the officer was very candid in saying that he saw this gentleman when he was passed out. So he was not in a position to make any assessment about alcohol intoxication, and certainly not when the patron was served. The officer is candid in saying that he's relying on statements made by other patrons that he says were intoxicated. Those statements aren't included in the officer's police report that I got before today. I would have liked to have known all of that information before being confronted with it here today. But the police report that I received has none of that information. And so I appreciate you're saying that we could have done an investigation further, but we don't know that person. We have no ability to follow up. I think the police were in that position. The chief said that they have some information that he's uncomfortable providing because of HIPAA laws, and I respect that. But we're not in a position to vet that out, and certainly not in the type of position that they were in. And again, I'm not blaming the police. They were absolutely doing their job, and they're trying to maintain control of all of these premises, and we appreciate what they're doing. I don't think there's any evidence here under the law, and I have a case to share with the board, that would be sufficient to show that there was an assessment by somebody that there was a patron who was served when they were already intoxicated, which is the standard. And I think council's well aware that showing up after the fact and seeing somebody who is intoxicated is not sufficient under the law. And so, we're here because we have the concern that you do. And as he said, they've served 500,000 patrons last year. And they're here because of 2 incidents. And any one incident can be catastrophic, so we appreciate it. We're not belittling it, but that's pretty staggering numbers.
So on May 1st, how many patrons were in the bar
That evening?
that evening?
Our capacity is 292 inside, plus the patio, so I would say there were approximately 300 people total in the bar. And that's an estimate at this point.
That was the first night with Mr. Hammond?
Yes.
That we're talking
Yeah,
about?
if that's the...
Yeah, my concern there is going to be, or is, that someone who admitted being in your establishment left your establishment in that condition. There was no one recognized it, and I understand with 300 people, someone could slip through. But the training's got to be, especially at the door and leaving, if someone's leaving in that bad of a condition, it gets recognized before you or another worker in the back of the building recognizes it after the fact.
Absolutely.
That's what we're concerned about. As far as the second night goes, the officer took testimony from their friends that they were drinking before they got there, so there was prior drinking before they got into your establishment, and they admitted to drinking hard liquor. So whether there was some other condition, occurred, or he had other medical issues, we don't know, but we do know he was drinking, and they did admit to drinking something more than a half a beer. So those are the 2 things that we know about and that they've admitted to. And those are things that we are concerned about, that they are going to be, we have to recognize people that should no longer have another drink, whether they just got there or not. And I know it's not the easiest thing in the world.
Can I say something?
Yeah, go ahead.
We have this thing for bartenders and servers. It's called our stoplight system. Green means go, yellow means proceed with caution, red means stop. Most of the time, all our patrons are in the green. When we get into the yellow zone, that's when we don't just contact one manager. We get everyone on board, because it's to the point that could that one drink set that person to the edge, or we don't want to cause that conflict. And with us, if there was any indication of that night, if he was on the yellow light or if they were going to be in that zone, I would have contacted all the managers.
And how was that contacted to the manager?
It was contacted with Angie and Carlin. When I went off to do my side work, Carlin set them up for food, and then realized the kid was starting to act funny, and then she got Angie involved, and then Angie got Daniels involved, who is technically our assistant general manager, but also one of our bar lead managers, so he got everyone else on.
So you would send a server or another employee over to them and say,
Whenever there's an issue with a guest, a manager goes right over.
Right.
We can't fix it, they go and fix it.
right. So there's obviously something slipped through the cracks with these 2, whether it was, over drinking beforehand on the site, or whatever it is. I'm concerned about someone leaving the site in that condition. That's a big issue. The over-serving, you say we gave him a half a beer. Well, it's a hard call, I would imagine, on your end. But if he's within 15 or 20 minutes after getting the beer, he's passing out, he must have been in an over-intoxicated condition in front of you, and it wasn't recognized. That's how, from our view, and from what the other testimony was, that's what we see it as, at least I do. And so we have to, that's our judgment. We have to see what your side of the story is, and we obviously want to see what the police observed when they came. But the whole thing is for the protection of your patrons and our townspeople. So that's why we're here. And I don't want to get into a bunch of hypotheses on what else could have happened or might have happened. I just want to know what did happen, so we can talk about it. Go ahead.
Can I add to that?
Sure, go ahead.
So as far as someone coming or going from the building, and we should recognize that, I absolutely agree. When we did that responsible alcohol service meeting, that's why we had the folks from the front desk, the bussers, anybody that's in the front of house that could possibly have an eye on a guest. We had them come with us for training because we wanted everyone to be aware of the cues they should be looking for and anything they could do to help us be safe. So they were all mandatory to come to that meeting that morning, because it wasn't just the servers of alcohol, it's other folks that are out front dealing with guests that we felt like were extra eyes on our guests.
And when was that meeting?
That was on June 5th.
Yes.
Okay, so since both of these incidents, besides that, what else have you done to bring this to light and maybe help correct some of this?
We have pre-shift meetings before every shift. Then we have everybody in that. We've been talking about it. Part of the training also was fake IDs, and with all the kids getting out of college right now, that's been a big push for us. So we've been doing that. I've met with the mall. I've met with Nancy over at the mall. After we had a meeting with Chief Breen and Captain Johnson. Myself, Jeremy was there, and president of our company flew out from California for the meeting to see what else that potentially we should be doing, any advice we could get that they thought we could be safer. So we had that meeting. I've met with security at the mall. I've talked to them about the fake IDs as well, just as to be safe for the plaza. But it's a high priority for all of us there. So again, everyone in the front house is trained on that, because we do want to recognize if someone's walking in the door or walking out that door, and we should know about it before they're in the parking lot. This is conjecture, but I feel like we've talked about some of it. The gentleman on the 9th, the two managers were involved. We're talking about Daniels and Mary and then Drew. None of us are trained medically. We've been through TIP certifications multiple times. This gentleman, as pale as he was and as sweating as he was, all of their thought process was that something else was in his system besides alcohol. And I know we've no proof of that. We did ask if there was any toxicology report taken at the hospital, and because of HIPAA, we weren't allowed to find that out, and there were no charges pressed, so they couldn't subpoena or anything. So we understand that, but that was where my mind went on it, because for this person to go within the 30 minutes that we know they're in the building, from where we believe he was to where he ended up, that was very alarming to us. So, and the other two gentlemen were not in that condition, so we thought it was very out of sorts that he was like that. And additionally, to your point about the neighborhood, my goal here is to be a good neighbor to this town. Like, I'm from Massachusetts. I've grown up here my entire life. My stepfather's a police officer, so I've been taught to respect our license, the towns we're in. It doesn't do us any benefit to allow this behavior in the building. It doesn't, make us a successful business. So we are on the same page that we don't want anything like this happening. So anything and everything we can do, we are doing.
I appreciate that. At this point, I wanted to open up to the public. Does anyone from the public here have a question or a comment on this? Sure. Would you go to a microphone just so people can hear you?
Sure. Just look, the question that I have is that at your establishment, or even at any establishment, if you're having a drink, is there any way that you can take a breathalyzer to see if you're over the limit that would tell you that you're not safe to drive? Because I sometimes think that if people have had a lot to drink, they may not even realize it, and then they're off driving, and then all of a sudden now they're putting themselves and the public in danger. So just a question I have, is that something that you could request or ask for as a patron? Sure.
Well, being in that business, is there any sort of portable breathalyzer that you guys do, or any practice along that line?
We can't make that.
Yeah, because you're invading their rights.
That's nothing I've
Request it.
Yeah. Okay.
Nothing I've seen in.
Could the patron request it?
Yes.
Is that what you're asking?
Yeah.
Have you ever had a patron request that?
I have not in my history.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of anything along that line?
I have
No.
not.
Attorney Mullen, you ever heard something along that line?
I've heard actually of bars that have equipment like that you have to put coins in to test your breath.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. And Chief Breen, you had a comment on that?
Yes, I recall when I first came on back in the late 80s, early 90s, a couple of establishments did install it. Some of the patrons were trying to see how drunk they could get.
Who could blow a higher number? Yeah. Well, that's not the result we want from something like that. That's for sure, or anybody. But Heather.
I have a question. Heather Keene.
Heather, go up to the podium. Either one. That one's closer. That was right there.
Not only do we have a neighborhood, but we have kids that work up at Market Street, right? So there are a lot of kids that have little jobs, part-time, they might be coming out late or whatnot. So my concern is, I hope you have an action plan. I hope this is a good learning lesson for you, for your establishment. I've eaten there, I like your restaurant a lot, but please be careful, because there's a lot of kids in high school that have little jobs and they're coming out at night. And we hope that you have a safe plan going forward for that, because if someone's inebriated, intoxicated, they could kill somebody right in the parking lot, not even out on the street. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Heather. Any other questions? All right. I want to close the public portion of the hearing, and thank you for what you had. You had some more
I
comments?
just wanted to submit for the record, on the second incident, the bar bill, which shows the 3 Bud Lights, and then the opening and closing of that bill, which, like I said, shows it was a half an hour.
If I can just explain, the guest check is self-explanatory, it's just their check with it. The second paper is a printout from the computer that shows the times. You're going to see the top of that multiple bartenders' names. It's a tax report from the next day, so any tips or gratuities that come in, it splits those automatically for them to be a credit card.
Okay.
So I think it's highlighted on there for you, but there's a lot of confusing information.
Okay.
One last question on, was it May 10th? What was the count in the restaurant on that night?
The May 9th?
May 9th, I'm sorry.
I would say approximately the same thing with the patio and the interior. It could have been 300. At that time of night, it would probably be less. I would think that was at 10 o'clock, so you're maybe under 200 at that point. And same thing, there were still been 5 managers on in the building.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one last thing. I mentioned this decision by the Alcohol Beverage and Control Commission. It's a 2010 decision I'd like to submit to the board, and they laid out the standard, and I don't need to bore you with the legal details of it, but the standard to be applied in cases like this about service to an intoxicated patron, and specifically, like this case, what the ABCC has said and what the case law says is insufficient to find a violation is, as we have in this case, officers showing up after the fact and saying, we interviewed witnesses, or it's my opinion, without having seen him in the bar, of what his level of intoxication may have been. You need more than that. You need either a toxicology report with an expert, or you need percipient witnesses to come before the board and testify about that. I think here all we have is the testimony of Ms. Blazewicz, which I think is very credible, that she saw no signs of intoxication of that gentleman, who, as you have all said, and we recognize that is a very disturbing incident if somebody passes out at your establishment. But the only evidence about when he was served was that he was not showing any signs of intoxication. So after the fact, statements or testimony even by an officer who says, well, I saw him passed out, is not sufficient, and this case law sets forth those standards. And with that, I appreciate your time and your efforts here, and we do take it very seriously, and especially that last comment. We know that the neighborhoods and the children are the most important thing that we're all trying to protect, so we will take due caution.
Great. Thank you. Appreciate it. Chief?
I just wrote down some notes as I was listening to the prior testimony. One thing I would like to ask Officer Fitzmyer, Mr. Hammond made a statement after he handed the keys over to Officer Fitzmyer, and I was wondering if Officer Fitzmyer could just come to the microphone.
He handed me the keys. He asked if he could go back into the bar. It was at that time that I made the decision that he was going to leave, whether he got a ride or he was going to come with us into protective custody, at which time we were able to get, I think it was his daughter, to come pick him up.
Great.
That's it.
Great. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Was that into the bar, or into the yard house?
Into the yard house.
Okay, I also recall the general manager saying that they checked to see if there were credit card and debit cards, but I'm just and I know I'm not allowed to cross-examine him, but do they accept cash in the bar? Also, after speaking to Mr. Hammond, did members of the staff of the Yard House look at the video to see if he was in fact in there? And I certainly don't want to impugn the character of the server. I know she has a very difficult job, and I would like to say that I've had a conference call last year with the president of the company and the general manager, Ed McLean, and Mr. Minervino. And then we had a meeting this year, and the staff there has been nothing but helpful and willing to work on problems with me and try to solve them. However, I heard the server identify that she believed it was a medical condition. I don't know what expertise or evidence she has to say that that was in fact a medical condition and not an alcohol condition. I think that's the notes that I made. That's the only thing else I have to offer.
Thanks, Chief. Well, the two glaring issues here, I think, are first in the case of Mr. Hammond. He admitted to being in the bar. He obviously had been overserved. By whom, we don't know at this point, but he admitted to being at the Yard House and drinking there and wanted to go back in. That's clear. And the second incident, the friends of the individual that passed out said they had been drinking ahead of time. They had some hard liquor. Like I said, whether or not there was another medical condition involved, we don't know. But the fact that he did have some prior drinking before he came in there was established by his friends that he was with. So I think we do have grounds here to do something with their license. And I wanted to bring the chief back up. Chief, if you could explain what you have investigated with this type of incident and possibly give us a recommendation of what you would suggest.
Yes, after looking at the totality of the evidence, hearing the statements and listening to the testimony today, clearly they have a difficult job. The Yard House and places like that have a high occupancy. It's very difficult to watch everybody all the time. On occasion, I think mistakes were made. And when mistakes are made, unfortunately, there has to be a consequence. So in this situation, I would find that a suspension would be correct, and I'll leave it to the board to determine the length or whether that's an appropriate finding.
Chief, can I just, is this the first violation of Market Street?
Yes, it is.
Chief, do we have any other recommendations for remedies or any type of mitigation that we could asked from the Yard House?
Well, I think it was not coincidental that one of the parties involved in this, Mr. Hammond, was stopped by, first of all, Mr. McLean, and I commend him for doing that and calling us. But if the officer wasn't on scene on a detail, Mr. Hammond, by all accounts, would have gotten in the car and driven away. Now, whether or not we would have an officer close by in a cruiser to stop him before he got to his place of residence, or whether he would have gotten in an accident, we don't know. But by having somebody present, we stopped him from going to his vehicle, getting in the vehicle, and driving away. So one remedy may be to have a detail at the establishment on nights where problems have occurred. I think one of these nights was a Friday. I think the other was a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's something that the staff at the Yard House would consider, I think that's something we could look at.
Yeah, well, I think it's clear that if anybody in town or neighboring towns that's been up there, Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights are busy. I'm assuming Friday and Saturday are a little busy, but I've heard many people say on Thursdays there's a 1.5 to 2 hour wait sometimes to get into the restaurant. So I think any of those nights would be in need of the same type of oversight to prevent this. So would something along the line of a detail on those 3 nights be reasonable?
If that's something that the staff of Yard House would like to work with me on, I'm certainly willing to sit down and see if we could staff those.
If I could comment on that, I'm Jeremy Wilson, the Director of Operations for this area, and if that is something that the chief would agree to, it's something we would absolutely do.
Jeremy, can you come up and just state that again on the, so. all the people at home and on the recording can hear it?
Sure. Jeremy Wilkes with Yard House Restaurants, and if that is something that that Chief Green would want us to do, that's something we would definitely honor and we would put in place immediately if necessary.
I'd appreciate that. That's one of the things I'd like to see. The other issue was going to be whether or not we impose a suspension of the license. I would like to hear from my board members on their opinion on that.
I think, I mean, this is certainly the first violation of Market Street. We set a precedent here with this issue. I think one's too many. I think 8 days later is certainly a serious problem for certainly that area. I think it's setting a precedent. I think it's something that we will not tolerate in Linfield. It's a pretty big development. I certainly have a discussion around traffic. There's a whole lot of issues around Market Street. This is one issue that I wasn't hoping to have heard when I'm on the Board of Selectmen. And I'm thinking definitely a detail, especially for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Serving 500,000 patrons, I think that's something that you can incur the cost at Yard House, trying to keep patrons safe. But I think certainly possibly suspension of the license of maybe 4 days during those Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Certainly be something we should certainly consider, so that we can certainly let not just Yard House know, but Market Street know that we are serious. This is something we will not tolerate in Linfield.
I understand that. I mean, I would respectfully probably, want that not to happen, obviously, for the, that's our livelihood. But I understand the situation. We don't want to be an example, but at the same time, we want to set the example for the community, and we want to make sure that we're leaders in the industry when it comes to safety with alcohol on guests. And, I've got an 18-year-old daughter, 15-year-old daughter, and we were talking about children and family. It's my biggest concern when they go out on the streets and those types of things. So we are very respectful of what we're talking about here. But, yeah, that would be a tremendous hit.
Tom, do you got an opinion on both of those?
I did a little bit of reading and looking at other towns, other cities, other states as well, as far as how different boards dealt with similar situations. And it ranged from the liquor license being suspended for 2 days up to 8 days. And in some case, there were details as well. The one thing for certain, I believe, is we should have a minimum of 6 months of details on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Unconditional. If we can't agree at least to that, then I would have to then voice an opinion to increase the suspension, the number of days in which you would lose your license.
If we did not comply with
if you would not at least strongly consider agreeing with at least 6 months of details.
We have discussed that as a company. Like we said, Craig Carlisle came out here from Irvine, California to have that meeting that Chief Green was, gracious enough to schedule with us. He was a proactive, him reaching out to us and letting him know about the conversations that you had at this hearing. We're going to do whatever is going to please this community, because we are part of this community. And so we want to make sure that we're doing whatever it is that is going to make you feel better about the Yard House as well.
Okay. As far as a suspension, I have to agree, a very strong signal has to be sent. Unfortunately, you're the first to come before us with a situation like this. It's rather unpleasant to have to deal with it, however, it's reality. I think a 3-day suspension would be more appropriate. And it should be a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, so that the servers at your establishment take this extremely serious. Whatever occurred here happened. We can't change the past, but we need to have it ingrained not only in your establishment's mind, but every other establishment that serves at Market Street. Because the proximity to all of our greatest assets, the people of Linfield, are just too close to Market Street for an accident to occur.
I understand that, I do, and I'll say just, to talk about Ed's team, and one of the things that I think that Yard House does differently is we've had 8 managers in this building, including 3 and 4 kitchen managers, so at all times, at night, on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, there is no less than 3 to 5 managers, sometimes 6, and then at 10 o'clock it might drop off to 4, which I think is a commitment for those things. And to Ed's point about the last line of defense, getting everybody trained with it, I think that we've done what we think that we've done proactively with Chief Bream's suggestions and with JBS. But again, just out of maybe ignorance on my part, would there be an appeal process that we would be able to have a discussion about this?
Well, your appeal process is with the ABCC,
Gotcha.
not with us.
So that would be separate from the suspension. If there was with ABCC, that would be a Linfield decision.
Well, your suspension of your license will go to the ABCC.
The decision would be made by this board, and then you would appeal that decision to the ABCC.
Yes.
And no suspension would take place until such appeal was heard.
And no disrespect to this board. We appreciate the time we've had with you.
Can I just, on Selectman Terranova's, regarding the detail, I think that's certainly an important part of this. Is this something, I was thinking you maybe were thinking of permanent detail during those days. Did you have a time frame?
Well, we've actually looked at it just to see if it was really for Friday and Saturday nights, which are our higher volume nights.
Yeah.
We do it in other locations, like in Fenway, for pre-games with baseball and post-games, where we'll have security in there. So it's
I'd like to see detail permanent at the Academy, 500,000 patrons, and certainly, these are two that we're discussing that certainly I'm thinking that there are other people that possibly have left the art house who went home, drove the streets of Linfield, and certainly put themselves and others in harm's way. And I think a detail would certainly be something I'd want to see permanent.
What's your patron count on a Thursday compared to a Friday and Saturday?
I could get you exact numbers. I'd be kind of guessing right now, but I'm going to, I guess
I wouldn't have an estimate on that.
But is it typically a much busier night than the rest of the week, other than Thursday and Friday and Saturday? But I think Thursday's is almost as busy a night as Friday and Saturday in most weeks.
Not as long.
It doesn't go as late.
Correct.
But you certainly have a pretty strong turnout on Thursday nights.
And again, I'm ballparking, but probably about 1,000 guests on Thursday.
Yeah,
from 11 to 11.
Because when you had said you had talked about this and that you would agree to do that, I was thinking of those 3 nights, because those are the 3 biggest nights that you have, and we would like to see a detail there. Whether they're there until midnight or there until 11, you're still gonna have the same issues. So I think I would like to see a detail on all 3 nights.
Okay.
And I don't really want to put any kind of deadline on it or end date. I think it should be permanent. I think that's something this is going to continue. It's for the safety of the town. It doesn't end in 6 months. I mean, we got to see this through, as long as you're open. As far as suspension goes, I do agree it does warrant some suspension of the license. I think the facts here are, even though it's a first, we have to look at it as a violation that, again, I looked at some of the ABCC rulings, and the minimum I've seen anywhere is 2. And again, they go much higher than that on more egregious violations. But I would recommend possibly we have a 4-night violation with 2 of them being suspended, but they can for a 2-year period. And if this happens again, those will be added on to an additional suspension if we have another violation happen within 2 years. So that would be a 2-day suspension at this point, along with details on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's what I would recommend at this point.
So you're saying a 2-day total, sir?
2-day total at this point, but you have 2 that are going to be suspended and for 2 years, and if another violation comes up, we will add that to an additional suspension.
Understood.
Within a 2-year period. And so that's what I would recommend. Do I, at this point, I want to have any...
I'd just like to, I certainly, the 4 is something that I thought that's send a message. I think you having a detailed permanent Thursday, Friday, Saturday, I certainly could go with the 2-day with 2 suspended. How can we hold them to a permanent detail? Mr. Mullen, is there anything that is there something they put in writing?
I don't think you could hold them to a permanent detail. You're talking about holding a 2-day suspension over their heads for a period of 2 years.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably adequate. Unless it were actually part of the liquor license itself, and I've never seen such a condition in a liquor license, and you can't do that at this hearing because this isn't a liquor license hearing, it's a disciplinary hearing. I guess I would recommend that you include it as part of the 2 years.
Right, and that's what I'd like to see, you know, along with both, even though it's not under the ABCC rulings in the state law. He's already indicated that that's something that he would agree to. So I'd like to see that fall through as part of moving forward from here on out.
Well, what I'll do is absolutely suggest that with Craig Carlisle, the president, who is absolutely, you know, in touch with what's going on right now. So we'll absolutely honor your request and have that conversation with him, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible, let you know that it will be taking place.
Tom, you got an opinion on that?
So I just want to make sure I'm clear. So the current thoughts for my two fellow selectmen is a 2-day suspension with the 2-day abeyance for 2 years.
Well-
If there's no problems, the second 2 days
Yes.
Go away.
is
Will
nullified.
go away, yes.
Right, the terminology, the license would be suspended for 4 days, 2 days to be served, and 2 days to be held in abeyance for a period of 2 years, with no further violations.
And the permanent
And
detail.
what about the detail? How do we deal with the detail issue?
Again, you can't require the detail as part of this hearing. The general manager, I think I said he was going to hire a detail. That would be part of your regular liquor license renewal or application, that you would put a requirement on the license, but you can't do it as part of this hearing. They're telling you that in good faith, that they will do that, but you can't do it as part of this hearing.
Right.
That's normally something we could work out with town council and with the chief. I mean, it's, I think as Counselor just said, it's not something that I think emanates from the liquor laws, but it's something that my client's already indicated that he's willing to undertake something of that degree, but I don't think it needs to be included in your decision, but I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I'm sure we can work something out with council and with the chief.
Well, it's separate from the liquor violation, but it's not separate from what we'd like to see as a remedy.
Right.
That's the difference.
Right, and I
So,
think they've said they're willing to
Yeah.
cooperate with that.
All right, so,
Before the board takes a vote on actually a punishment, I think, Council, correct me, they have to vote that they find that there was a violation on either one or both of these occasions, is that correct?
That's right, you have to make a factual determination.
okay. I'd take a motion stating that the Yard House was in violation on both May 1st and May 9th.
I'll make a motion that Yard House is in violation on May 1st and May 9th of ABCC laws,
State laws, yeah.
state laws,
Specifically at 138, Section 39, serving of an intoxicated patron.
as stated.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then at this point, you would vote to impose whatever penalty. Again, if the board wishes to hold an abeyance, the punishment would be a 4-day suspension, 2 days to be served, 2 days to be held in abeyance for a period of 2 years, so long as there are no other violations within that time.
Okay.
And could it be subject to the request of a detail?
No.
Or there can be no ties?
No, you can't tie that to that. That they have agreed that they would do that, and that is part of your reason for mitigating the suspension, but you cannot require that.
Do we have to render our decision this evening?
Council, could they take this under advisement, or?
Well, you can take it under advisement, but there is no penalty until you send them a notice of your findings and a notice of their appellate rights, and they have 5 business days after the receipt to appeal.
The reason I asked the question is I would wonder if Jeremy, if your business would be kind enough to follow through with that request, and then we would follow through
With the
with,
detail?
right.
We will follow through with that detail. Let me ask you this, if we were to have that in place this week, is that something that would be in consideration for us not getting the added suspension? Not to stand here and bargain with you, I don't want to do that.
The added suspension?
Well, I believe what he's asking is,
4 days?
if
I'm
you,
not to good faith. If we-
not to put any words in your mouth, but if they were to have a detail in place for this weekend, would the board put all 4 days in abeyance? Would that be correct?
I was thinking if best case scenario for us would not to have.
Well, not to have a suspension, maybe a warning as opposed to a suspension. So I think the board has already found there's a violation. You can do anything really up to and including revocation of the license. I can tell you that wouldn't hold up if you wanted to revoke the license.
Consider going beyond the 2 years, making it permanent.
As far as violation?
Well, just the
Just
detail.
well, the details are going to agree to the.
Details
the
separate.
2 years
Yeah,
is
no, I
the
just- I mean,
probationary
that's-
period.
that's-
I think if we were to have a detail in place on Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Yeah.
I think it would definitely, I think it would give you some confidence. I think that the management team does do a good job, obviously, that we're here because there's been some opportunity, but I think that, again, if that was something that would please the board, I think it's something that we would absolutely consider.
Permanent detail at the outhouse.
Something we would consider, absolutely.
That's certainly what I'd like to see.
That's what I'd like to see as well.
As far as the suspension goes, I think the 2-day, with the 2-day in abeyance is reasonable at this point. It's a minimum we see at the ABCC, and I think in most first-time offenders, that's the common suspension. So I would take a motion for a 4-day suspension with 2 in abeyance for 2 years from one of my board members.
Council, should they have a date for that?
I don't know if it's a date, but because it after all depends on whether there's an appeal and when the appeal is heard. But I was thinking, do you want a particular day of the week to be specified?
For the suspensions?
For the suspensions, yeah.
I would like it to be a Thursday, Friday, or Saturday. You know, I would, and
I think it would probably be as soon as possible.
As soon as possible.
After the, your order becomes effective, and it doesn't become effective until it's unappealable. So,
right, and they don't necessarily have to be succeeding night. You know, it can be a Friday this week and a Friday next week.
That's entirely up to you. You should
Yeah,
put that in
I don't
motion.
have an issue with that.
Well, how does our board feel about holding off until our next meeting and see what the request looks like regarding a detail from the outhouse?
I mean, would a delay in any way hinder what we're doing here?
Well, it's 2 separate issues.
No, I think if we can confirm that, I mean, I'm not saying, I think you're going to be a good neighbor, and certainly that's in your best interest, but if we were to delay action until August, is there a reason we have to act tonight?
No?
No, you could take it under advisement. Continue it, sure.
I mean, I'd like to see the permanent detail. I mean, the 4 days, I mean, that's certainly, we're sending a message certainly to everybody at Market Street. I mean, for me, permanent detail at Yard House.
I just want you to know we're going to do whatever it is to make this, to make this work. I mean, we are.
No, it's in your best
members of-
interest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the board could postpone making a decision till the meeting in August 17th, Bob? You need to continue it to a date and time certain. So yeah, the 17th.
So if my board would agree, I'd like to make a motion to postpone,
Continue the hearing.
continue the hearing until August
17th.
17th
Do we have anything at 7 o'clock?
at 7 PM.
7 p.m.
I'd second that.
Okay, all those in favor? Aye. So we'll continue this in August. We want to see that the detail is in place. Attorney Mullen, is there anything we can get as a agreement with the outhouse on that part of it?
Well, I think that's why we're continuing. We want, right, we want.
But I'd like to have,
Mr.
not only that, see that they do it, but I'd like to see if we can get something in writing.
Is there anything I can
agreeing to do
provide
it.
to give you that confidence?
Just your word.
Well,
that
your
we're
word
gonna
tonight
permanent.
is what we're working on, but we want to have something a little more concrete saying,
Mr. Chairman, I can work with their counsel in
Yes.
the meantime, and we'll see if we can get something in writing for the board.
that'd be great.
The sooner the better. That would be a big, at least in my mind, I think in my fellow board members, I think the sooner you sent that request, the better we would feel.
Okay, Chief Breen?
Just a couple of things. First of all, I want to say again, without exception, everybody from the outhouse has been extremely good to work with, and I'm sure we won't have a problem. But there's one thing I do want to mention that, because I don't want it to be a violation of any agreement that they may make. There may be a period where we might not be able to fill a detail on that night, so that will not be an issue with them. It's just, during the summer months, sometimes it's difficult with vacations and overtime for us to have somebody available to fill that detail. So I just want to make sure that that wouldn't be on them. That would be something that we were unable to fill.
We do have a company that we do use if that was an alternative. Obviously, if you want us to use you as a detail, that we would want to do that. But if we're in a situation like that, we do have another detail that we could use
Use them as a backup, and in case he can't fill a night.
whatever we
Yeah.
decide.
Non-sworn people, security, is that what you mean?
Yeah, it's with, I unfortunately, I can't remember the name of the company, but it is somebody that does other yard houses, so they're familiar with our business.
But I would like the Linfield Police to be the primary detail, and if...
It would have to be by contract.
And we'd have that, and then if some circumstance comes along that they can't fill it, then you can...
And we may also be able to hire surrounding cities or towns.
Correct.
If that were the case.
As you always do.
Right. I think I'd like to see a police officer there, not a security guard. I think it sends a different message to the patrons
Yeah, that's...
when they walk by a real police officer. Not meaning any disrespect to any security guards.
It may happen to be here. Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, Counsel, I don't believe you'll need to bring any of your witnesses back for the 17th if you wish to be here, but there won't be any testimony taken on that night, so you won't have to drag everybody out on that night. You probably should be here, but I wouldn't bring all your witnesses. The same goes for the officers, Dave. They won't be necessary on the 17th.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
We
gentlemen.
need a motion to close the hearing?
No, because you've continued it. You've already
We're gonna
made a motion
continue it, that's
continue Yep, so you're all set.
Already did it, okay. Well, we're flying right down the agenda now. Next item is the Historical Commission candidate Shelley Lynch. Sure.
Hi, my name is Shelley Lynch, and I'm a long-term resident of this community since 1966. I did leave the community for a few years to go up to Londonderry, New Hampshire, but came back home. I'm here tonight to request consideration of being a board member of the Linfield Historic Commission. Back in 2012, I saw an article in the Weekly News about a historic Bancroft Danforth house that's all X now and boarded up. And when I read the article, I said to myself, you know, I really love this community, the history of the community, the culture. It's just a beautiful community to live in. And I thought, what can I do as a citizen of this community to help the Historic Commission? So I contacted the commission, left my contact information, and attended one of their meetings as a volunteer. I've been volunteering now for about 2.5 years, and my main role has been looking at the inventory in the town and doing some real intense research. I do have copies of the material that I've done so far. The first project that I was asked to do was the Bancroft Danforth house. It involved a lot of research on the structure of the building, the history of the families, the Bancroft family, the Danforth family, their contributions to the town, which were pretty significant. And so I have that information captured on a very detailed report for you to look at. I used a lot of critical resources too, including the history of the town of Linfield that was written by Wellman. The Salem Registry of Deeds spent countless hours there trying to put the puzzles together of getting deeds that went back to the 1700s when we were under the King of England. And so I have a sample of that work that I put together for the commission to have on their files and also to have for the board and any other members if they want to consider doing something with that property. From that research that I did, the board members were able to put together a presentation of that home using a lot of the research that I did on that property. So I found it pretty fascinating, and another reason why I got involved here is because my daughter at the time when she was in elementary school, she was learning about the history of Linfield, and she started talking about there was an underground home at 300 Main Street. And I said to her, I've been in that home. That's Linda Gillian's home. And then she writes about the oldest house is 300 Main Street. So she starts talking about the history of Linfield. And I said, you know, I'm learning that history right now as I'm doing research. Now, my background, I'm not a history teacher. I have a bachelor's in business education, specializing in accounting. I have an MBA, and I have a CAGS in educational leadership. I'm currently employed by the town of Reading as a high school teacher, and I'm licensed as a high school principal, assistant principal. So I do have a passion for education. And I said to her, I said, you know, working on the commission, there's so much that I'm learning, and we have information that we can share with the school systems to really enrich what you're learning right now. So that was my motivation, too, for getting involved. The second project that I did for the commission was to research the Moses Richardson home, which was a home that was moved from Wakefield to Linfield back in 1745 or so. And again, doing the research on Moses Richardson, other people that lived in that home, their contributions to the town, going to the Registry of Deeds and gathering all the information there. And I'm currently actually working on the Reverend Motley Center Farm right now, doing research on that property, and I'm still just in the works on doing that. Other contributions that I have right now, too, is I'm trying to come up with some ideas on how we might be able to use Center Farm. I'm not there as a decision maker. I'm just here to just share ideas and to gather research. But I see Center Farm as almost like an extension of the meeting house. And we use the meeting house for so many different purposes throughout the year. And I thought, is there a way, if that property doesn't sell as a private residence, is it possible to use that property for certain events that we have throughout the year and make it an extension? So one example of that was to maybe have a Festival of Trees event during the holiday season and have the different businesses in Lynnfield, local businesses, Market Street, donate money, donate trees, auction them off, generate revenue. So I'm just trying to come up with some ideas that might work for what we're trying to do with our resources in town. And so, like I said, I'm here just to ask for, Nan Hockenberry, the chair, has been asking me to be a board member. I believe they only have 5 people right now on that board, and they really need someone to help them out with the inventory, and I'm committed to helping them with that.
Well, Shelley, thank you. And thank you for volunteering to do this. I mean, it's great to get some new blood. And you may have a passion for education, but you certainly have a passion for history, too. Your research and the work you're doing is commendable. So once you find some viable uses for the Center Farm, please let us know. We all like to find out what's the best use of that property. I don't know if you've spoken to Ted Caswell yet in our Capital Facilities Advisory Committee.
I have, and I've heard
that's
about
part of their charge, is to find the best use of that, and along with everything else in town. But the Danforth House is also part of that charge, is to find out what's the best use of that property over there.
Because we were talking about maybe even taking certain components or pieces within the house and reusing them, and maybe even possibly for some of the structures in the town that are being torn down because of whatever reason, if there's anything of value in there, to be able to take it, inventory it, if it makes any sense, and resell it or reuse it. So, and again, I'm just here to help out and to do what I can to maintain the charm of the community and to support whatever I can support in this community.
And I know part of the CFAC is working on whether or not they can save that Danforth House and use more of it for future use in whatever capacity that might be.
Right.
Because it's really, even though it's boarded up and got a bunch of X's on it, it's not in that bad a shape.
Right. You know, the report there was a report that I read that I included, it's not in the material that I'm sending around, but the final presentation, which the Historic Commission has on all of these properties so far that I've done, there was a historic preservation company in Salem that they hired, and I was shocked that they actually said in their report that the Bancroft Danforth house was actually in remarkably sound condition, that they were surprised with that as well.
Sure.
You know, I look at that and I'm saying to myself, when it comes to buildings or artifacts, I like to be able to see, to touch, to feel things, and not just see something that, well, here once was, you know, and I know that sometimes does happen.
Sure.
And I'm thinking, as I'm driving to town meeting tonight, I started thinking about when I was on a business trip to San Antonio, Texas, and I'm going along and I'm saying to myself, oh my God, here's the Alamo. I'm actually here looking, seeing it, it's there. And I just thought that was really, you know, and this sounds crazy, but it was just, you know, it's just amazing to know that it's actually there and I can see it and I can walk into it. And
But you know what, it isn't crazy. Certainly you as a history teacher and someone who loves education. I mean, the one thing you have people who go to Lexington and Concord to see the parts of, obviously, the Revolution.
Yeah.
A lot of those people came right here from Lynnfield, from Daniel Townsend, the Bancroft, and talk about teaching a history lesson that the kids in Lynnfield really can go and they can touch and be at the location where the Minutemen met is extraordinary. So I love your passion for the history of Lynnfield. I think it's a rich history, and people like yourself to protect it. It's right from the Center Farm to certainly the Bancroft House to the other structures in the community that tied to the Revolution, and even beyond, but before that, with as you said, with the King's Grant. I greatly appreciate that energy.
When I think about the Bancroft Danforth House, because I know it's in kind of, you know, when you look at it and say, oh my God, there's X's on it, because I know what that means. But I said the family that lived there, Bancroft, the significant contributions that they made to the town, just like you guys as selectmen, you're making contributions to the town and leading the Linfield militia in the battle there, serving on the Committee of Correspondence and Safety, overseer of the poor, selectmen, parish church. There was so many key contributions that came out of that family. And so then I'm thinking to myself, wow, it's big.
Thank you. Tom?
Shelley, I want to thank you for applying for this position. I think everybody has heard, as we all have, that you're definitely well suited for this position. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to even consider this. We had a wonderful chat this afternoon, talked about many of the same things, so thank you very much for willing to take time from your personal life to help the town with this committee.
All right, thanks.
I take a motion from one of my board members?
I'll make a motion to appoint Shelley Lynch to the Historical Commission.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Shelley, welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
Can I also get back my sheets?
What sheets?
I can make copies if you want copies, but I just want to have... Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Next item tonight is the change of manager for Kings Bowl. We have the Kings Bowl reps here.
Yes.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and board members. For the record, Attorney Mark Vaughn with the law firm of Reamer Bronstein here representing Kings Bowl of Linfield in connection with the change of manager application. With me is Coy Whiting, who is submitted an application to be the new general manager for the existing Kings location at Market Street. Coy has been working at this Linfield location since April of 2014, very familiar with their operations, and listening to one of the prior matters on the agenda tonight, I know that very much attentive to serve-safe issues as well. Probably noteworthy that Kings has not had any violations. They've been in operation actually for a longer period of time than the other applicant that was on the agenda earlier. But Mr. Whiting has experience not only at this Kings in Linfield, but also at Kings in Orlando, Florida, that he helped open when they opened up, as well as other restaurant experience as well. So we would ask respectfully for your approval of the change of manager, and obviously Mr. Whiting is here if you have any questions directly of him. So, thank you.
Great, and welcome. I think I've seen you up there a couple times, yes.
You have, yeah.
I have, our biggest concern obviously is the tips training and the and security with the serving of alcohol. I always use Kings as an example to the other vendors up here on how well you do things up there and how well you police your own location. I think you guys do a great job. So as far as your background in your tips and safe serve, could you give me a little description of that?
Sure, I am Safe Serve certified and also alcohol intervention methods certified as well. So I have both of those certifications, and it's just to go through and be able to identify the different identifiers of when people are either intoxicated or when they've reached that level, and what to do at that point and how to handle those situations.
Great. And what was your position in the Orlando venture?
Was the assistant general manager.
Assistant general manager, and you've been training up here with Stephen?
Yes.
The current manager.
Yes.
Is he now leaving?
He is now leaving. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Any other questions from my board members?
You were here for our first agenda item, so you know what our feelings are as far as serving precautions. So all that we can do is caution you on that matter.
Absolutely.
And please keep doing whatever magic you're doing there now. Keep our streets safe and your patrons safe.
Absolutely, will do.
Chris?
I have to agree with Selectman Terranova. I think any questions or comments we might make certainly were made in the last hour and a half. That's how serious we take it in Linfield. Certainly keep up that good track record that you have. If not, we're someone who certainly this board takes it very serious. So please.
Absolutely. It's definitely something that we take serious as well, and it's something that I take serious personally.
Thank you.
Sure.
So with that, I'll make a motion to change Kings Bowl manager to Coy Lee Whiting.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, Good luck.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Chief Breen. We have some promotions you want to talk about.
Yeah, it's a less vexing topic than one we had prior. Before we begin, Mr. Chairman, would it be possible to ask some of the members we have in the audience if they could just step outside so that some of the family members could come in and observe this?
Yeah, folks, we're gonna do some promotions here, so I know a lot of people here are for the CVS discussion. If you could maybe give a little room for the family members to come in.
And also my my brother officers.
I appreciate it, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mrs. Johnson. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for giving us that.
Thank you. Nobody likes the front row.
Okay, I think we're all set, if you'd like to proceed.
Sure.
First of all, I want to thank the members of the audience for stepping out and giving family and friends an opportunity to be here. We have members of the Linfield Police Department, members of the Peabody Police Department that are here that have worked with one of the officers that I'm going to submit today for promotion. But we'll start with Carl Johnson. Carl Johnson became a member of the Linfield Police Department on April 23rd, 2002. He was promoted to sergeant on December 23rd, 2005, and provisional captain and executive officer on December 5th, 2010. He's the acting chief when I'm on vacation. By the way, you're in charge on Friday. He received a score of a 93 on the Civil Service Captain's exam. Captain Johnson is highly respected within the department and has already performed many of the duties as our provisional captain for the past 4 years. I am pleased to recommend Carl Johnson to the permanent rank of captain.
Great.
Alfred Scottina began working for the Linfield Police Department on 10/8 of 2012. He transferred from the Peabody Police Department, where he was the training officer and NEMLEC SWAT team member. He quickly assumed both jobs within our department. He received the highest score in the Civil Service Sergeant's exam with a score of a 90. Officer Scottina is also highly respected within the department, and in my opinion is a great choice as our next sergeant. I am pleased to recommend Alfred Scottina to the position of Sergeant of the Linfield Police Department.
Okay, thank you. Well, I just want to congratulate both Captain Johnson and Sergeant Scottina. I want to thank you for all your work for the town of Linfield, and it's very much deserved, and I appreciate it, and I think I say on behalf of the town, thank you very much, and we look forward to working with you for years to come. So congratulations to both of you.
I'd like to also congratulate both gentlemen, Captain Johnson. Excellent job. It's great that you're filling in some big shoes when the big guy's not around. And Sergeant Scottina, what can I say? We stole him from Peabody. It was a score of a lifetime for Linfield. He's a great man. What? And it was a great addition to the town, and I know that you keep our streets safe. Thank you very much.
I think I'd like to certainly just concur with my fellow selectmen. These are two excellent picks. Chief Breen, your praise is warranted. I thank you for serving, protecting, and defending the town of Linfield. Any time when you get into a uniform and into a police vehicle, my grandfather was chief of police, and he always would tell me about what he had to go through on the streets to protect and defend. So I thank you for that, the courage as police officers in Linfield, so thank you. Keep up the great work.
Mr. Chairman, this is actually under the charter. I will be executing these appointments, but I thought it was important that the officers come in and the board know who we're picking to lead our police department, which is why they're here tonight. So the board doesn't need to take any formal motion, but if they wish to, they could take a motion to concur with my appointments. And I do wish to let Captain Johnson know that it's Chief Breen's turn to buy lunch on Friday. So if you're going to be in charge, you can pick me up around 11:30.
Well, we can vote on that if you'd like.
And what time is lunch?
Yeah, we'll join.
So,
Gotta make a motion.
if you'd like to have a confirmatory motion, I'll like to make a motion that we approve the captain's appointment of Captain Johnson and the sergeant's appointment of Sergeant Scotina.
I second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Congratulations, guys. Appreciate it. Thanks, Chief.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Oh, these are all family members? The front row was them? Okay. Thanks for coming. Yeah.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Sergeant.
Thank you. Thank you, appreciate it.
Stay away from that.
I love this job. Hi, Danny. How are you, honey?
We'll give him a second here.
Good to see you.
I'd have to concur.
We'll let the crowd switch over here with our big room. The only one here is Mr. Kimball. Oh, then, and Mr. Kimball. It's Kimball and Kimball. Boy, can you guys clear a room? Hurry up before they get in. Yeah.
There's nothing to refer. Property owner can propose a plan, and it's valid.
It's been a fun summer. You going away at all?
Just got back from the Cape.
Yeah.
We got a few people out there, Chief?
Just a few.
Yeah. Yeah. They can come on in. They can come in now.
We're back in the meeting. I came up the other way. I walked from Falmouth, 25. Before that, you have
Here's the vent.
Good weather.
A difference.
Great weather. Great weather.
This seat's still warm.
As the residents come back in, the next item on our agenda is going to be the proposed warrant article for CVS development. Here to talk to that on behalf of CVS is Jay Kimball. Jay.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members. How are you?
Evening.
Nice to see you all. As you're aware, CVS is contemplating establishing a location at 834 Salem Street, where the current Bridgewell property is. To that end, we've had 3 meetings with the abutters. I think Tom's been at all of them. I think Chris has been at all of them, and you've been at one. Just an observation,
That was the
sir.
important one.
That was the important one, the one where you said no. But anyway, We've had very good feedback from neighbors with the concerns, particularly traffic-related concerns. CVS is trying to deal with those issues. They have already eliminated the need for a drive-through. They have reduced the building, albeit not to a great percentage as yet. We continue to talk with the neighbors and take their input. And at the last of the 3 meetings we've had with the neighbors, there was a subcommittee formed. I can't tell you who's on it. Heather may know, but there was a subcommittee formed of 3 or 4 people in the neighborhood to make it easy to do some facilitation and discussion with CVS on an ongoing basis. The reason we're here tonight is to submit a proposed zoning change article, which would change the zoning bylaws in that they refer to the zoning map, but the specific change would be to the zoning map to include approximately a little more than a third, maybe almost half, of the property at 834 Salem, which, as you face Bridgewell from Salem, is the residential home to the right. The presumption is that the zoning is going to require us meeting or exceeding the parking requirements. In order to do that, they need some extra space. So the proposal is to take some of the land from 834, rezone it from Residence A to Residence LB Limited Business, which is what the main parcel where you see the Bridgewell building now is. It's the same zoning as in the center, in South Linfield, and out on Route 1 where Donovan's is. We're here not to circumvent anything, not to stop the discussions with our neighbors, but because of the timing requirements for filing with this board and asking it to forward the proposed article for rezoning to the planning board, which then must have a period of time to hold a meeting and review the same in a public forum, we needed to start now. So we do want the neighbors to know here, this is not an end run. This is just part of the timing process. There will be additional meetings with neighbors. There will be a hearing with the planning board, which is a public hearing at which neighbors can come and express their concerns. And of course, there will also be the town meeting. So to that end, and perhaps prior to questions, so you have this, I'd like to submit the article, the original article, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
It's here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
The state law provides that at annual meetings, 10 registered voters' signature on, or more on a petition requesting the inclusion of an article for action at the town meeting is sufficient. Chapter 48, Section 5 also provides that the landowner themselves can sign the petition for presentation and consideration. We have the landowner and, I believe, 11 signatures beyond that, so there's probably a lot of Kimballs on there, but nonetheless, it's the benefit of a big family. So the article again asks for a rezoning from Residence A to LB for roughly half of the property at 834 Salem Street to the right of the Bridgewell property as we know it now, so it can be included to go forward and make a proposal for the redevelopment of the property as a CVS store. So I'm happy to answer questions you have. I have copies of the state law if you need them.
Kim, you had mentioned that this certainly is part of the process to get this on the before town meeting in October.
Correct. We cannot wait until September or something to do it, right?
You said it certainly there hasn't been a significant, they certainly have, I mean, I will, they've met with us 3 times. I really appreciate that as a resident on the Selectmen, but they've listened to certainly some heated discussion.
Right.
And they've come back, they removed the drive-through. But you've also said that at this point, there's been somewhat of a reduction in the building. Is there a possibility it's going to be further reduced and no need? Because another parking, the reason I say this is if you have Walgreens further down Route 1, I'm looking at the parking area at Walgreens further down Route, and it is, I don't think there's as many parking spots in Walgreens as currently at Bridgewell.
Well, that may be true, I'm not sure, but I can tell you, Mr. Barrett, that the requirement is based on square footage in the town of Linfield. First floor and every floor above first floor each require a parking space. First floor is 180 square feet of office space for 1 parking space. Second floor and above is 360. So the size of the building dictates what you need on site for parking. And every town can vary in terms of the zoning requirements.
Are you still, I know it's not you, certainly the CVS Corporation, considering just that building as it currently is and maybe not need a lot of this? Or is
Well,
that a possibility?
I'm sure they're considering several things. One of the things about large corporations is they tend to do things one way typically, and as they meet with neighborhoods and understand their concerns, they have areas that they feel they can modify and still make it a profitable enterprise. We're still working with the neighbors to try to achieve a compromise that will be acceptable to everyone.
Yeah, because I certainly was, and you were, all the meetings, a significant concern with even the reduction to, I think, 11,000 some odd square feet, whatever ended up being.
Right.
But there certainly wasn't, I think, in that small group was assembled, possibly to further discuss the reduction of the square footage.
And we will, excuse me, we will continue to discuss with the neighbors and try to achieve an acceptable compromise.
Jay, how much is the new proposed building going to overlap onto the residential zoned land
The
here?
back page of the petition that we submitted tonight shows the lot itself. I apologize for not having a copy of the larger plan. I had requested one from the engineer and didn't get it. Most of the area that's going to be lot area described will be parking. Some of the building will come over the common property line from the currently zoned to the rezoned. I'm sorry I don't have a plan. I can get a copy of that plan if the board needs it for research.
So the majority of this area you want to rezone limited business is strictly for parking, but some of the building will be on that location?
Definitely some of the building will be on the site.
Okay. And that building's been reduced to what? Something?
I think it's about 11,000.
11,500, somewhere in there?
11,500, I think is what it is.
11,500, yeah, okay. And that's what, that's 1,200 square feet less than the original?
It's about 1,200 square feet. The neighbors would like it smaller. We're talking to CVS.
I thought the last meeting was reduced down to 12,880.
No, I believe it was reduced from the 12,000.
Yeah.
Is that?
It was 13.
Was it 13?
Right.
Well,
Heather, you must have it there.
I have it on my other side.
it's about 1,200. I mean, it was this.
But the reduction was about 1,200 feet, which is somewhere around 8 to 10%. Obviously, they have requirements for storage and everything else in addition to the floor space, so.
Is there going to be a second story, or is it a one-story building?
I think they're talking about a second story in the building.
Okay. For office space
I think it
above?
was
Like a mezzanine, not an entire second floor.
No, I think it's just going to be a mezzanine. It's not going to be office space to rent to others. It's more of a stylistic,
Right.
they presented a stylistic picture last time, an elevation that showed it.
I think storage up in the eaves of whatever, however they had described it, it'd be storage.
I honestly can't respond to that. I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah.
I can tell you that they have presented an elevation showing it. I think most of it is with peaks and valleys for sort of stylistic and architectural considerations.
I actually have copies here for everybody if you want of some of the more clearer photos I took of the presentation from the last meeting. And I'd like to also include that as part of the minutes. I've already given to Bob Curtin a copy of this.
Pat, would you hand two of them here? We haven't seen it. We haven't seen those. We haven't seen those either. So.
I assumed you did.
So some of them are a little sketchy. I'll
Thank you, Pat.
So, Jay, at these meetings, there was a lot of concerns, a little turbulence here and there.
Yes, there was.
And, a few of the biggest concerns was people, accessing Salem Street.
Correct.
That, especially, in the morning and in the afternoon, we get school buses, people going to work, and then to compound it with a CVS store, there was some issue with that. Now, after the meeting, I had a great conversation with the traffic engineer.
Yeah, he's very good.
And he's outstanding. And he brought to light that what we probably need is not a traffic study, but a traffic plan. Now, I hope I'm getting the terms right. You probably have to speak with him to get this correctly. Because we need to figure out, for the volume of traffic that's going down Salem Street at this present time, how much more can it take with a store such as CVS, where it may be a trickle, but it's a trickle all day long? And to have that trickle occurring during busy times such as morning and evening rush hour in a very difficult section of a street anyway, could be very hazardous. And I was hoping that if CVS is going to continue going forward, that they might retain his services or his firm's services to look at that.
Well, I think they're willing to take a look at that. As you all know from going to the meeting, there was some discussion about the state taking a look at the lighting there, which, the red, green light function, cameras, timing and so forth. I know over in Reading, for instance, where the IMAX Theater is, if you've been there, the traffic study that was done there resulted in some very good rearranging of not only street lights, but also street stoplights, but also of timing. I go over there every Saturday to walk around Home Depot in a sort of a fuzzy morning time, see how many plants I can buy, and I'm never stopped by traffic more than a minute, minute and a half. When I go down to Yard House, it's the same thing. It will be better just by changing the lights. The problem is that we don't have control over the lights. It's the Department of Transportation as a mass highway. I'm sure that they are going to work with them, and we've encouraged them to work with the state to try to improve that lighting and that timing and the order of when it changes and how it changes so that it'll improve it. Because you do get long backups. That having been said, much of the traffic, similar to Dunkin' Donuts, and I've worked on several of those, much of the traffic comes from the existing traffic. When there is a backup there, you're probably not going to go to that CVS to buy your pharmaceutical needs. So traffic does tend to solve itself. I mean, try to drive down 128 in the morning and watch people cut through Reading. I've learned about streets there I never knew existed. But there's a real pattern in the streets that gets you down to 93, and it's awesome. So traffic learns, lighting, revision and lighting is huge there, I think. It's been bad for years. Anybody who goes down there knows it's bad. That's going to all help. And we will continue to endeavor to look at those issues because we understand why they're of concern with the neighbors, and we want to address them the best we can.
Your client is CVS, not Bridgewell?
That is correct, right.
Because the one issue that I keep hearing from the people that live in the area is that the best option for that lot of land?
Well, that's an interesting question. It's always hard to know unless you spend a tremendous amount of time studying it. CVS and their, the demographics have decided that's a great location for them for a bunch of reasons. Some may disagree, of course. Something is there. Even if nothing happens with CVS, something will undoubtedly be there because it's a very attractive piece of property from the point of view of visibility on the highway. So somebody's going to go there. What we hope is that there will be able to be an accommodation to the neighborhood such that the neighbors will find the option of CVS the satisfactory one in the future.
Jay, I think we all agree the biggest issue there is traffic.
Yes.
I don't think anybody has a problem with CVS. CVS is a good company, and they do a nice job, and they probably would be a good neighbor. As good as they may be, it doesn't resolve the traffic issue.
It certainly doesn't.
I met with Mass DOT, and we went over this, and even with new lights there and timing, tweaking a little bit, it isn't going to make much of a difference. And that's already with a bad traffic flow there. So, one thing we talked about was possibly widening Salem Street. So there's a third lane from the CVS property down to the corner. That would help a little bit. But if you're going to have a heavier traffic flow, and their two busiest times are concurrent with some of the busiest times of residential traffic. It's not all from Linfield, it's obviously Peabody Lane and everything else. And as much as we try to fix the traffic on the north side, nothing fixes the traffic coming from the south at rush hour and taking that right. There's nothing there that improves that. So, if there is any kind of plan that's going to make it better, I haven't seen it. Mass DOT didn't give me any indication that they had any kind of fix for this. The issues that came up in the prior meetings was if Salem Street gets more clogged up than it already is, people are going to go north, take a right on Monroe, and loop around. Well, that causes more traffic going through the neighborhoods, which is going to make the whole traffic flow even worse than it is. There's already a no right turn for certain hours on Monroe.
Right.
I don't know if anybody pays attention to them, but that's the big concern here. It's not CVS, it's not the parking. It's traffic.
We agree.
So what, if anything, is CVS proposing that's going to improve or help the traffic issue?
Well, one of the things they've talked about is some relining of the roadway. We have not specifically talked about cutting in to the front of that property. I would presume that would always be a possibility to take some of the pressure off of the right turning northbound traffic. I haven't talked to the engineer specifically about that, but we will continue to look at this. We understand this is an issue. Again, we're only here tonight to submit the article permitted by law and request that it be referred to the planning board as the state law requires. We're happy to continue to meet with the neighbors.
Sure.
And we would be happy to welcome you guys always to come to meetings, along with planning board members and anyone else who wants to be there. And I would say to you that they will be open to suggestions. That does not mean they'll say yes to every suggestion, but that they will be open to hearing ideas. So we're open to those kind of proposals, and then they can make a decision and come back. I'm not the guy who plans that part of it, unfortunately.
I understand.
So, Kim, I think certainly living right behind this, there's certainly significant traffic issues, which is quite obvious. So we're looking to increase the footprint of that property, which certainly
Of the building, yes.
of the building and the property itself. And also we have certainly the issue of Pearly Burl hanging over the heads of the neighborhood. There's a lot of unanswered questions right now down Salem Street, right there. So I mean, certainly speaking just as a neighbor, we have to see a serious reduction in the footprint of the building. I think, to really and keep it on the side where it's certainly zoned for that. Because, I mean, our best is to keep it exactly how it currently is for that use, as it currently is being used. My concern is it's not going to end up being that. And the alternative certainly could be office space on the second floor. We could have retail down below. We could have a 7-Eleven, a whole boatload of retail shops below, which becomes, I think, another eyesore for the neighborhood. That an overturn of those businesses that I don't want to see on the end of at the corner of Salem Street. So I think it's certainly that the neighborhood is going to take a serious look at this, as you can see. I mean,
fully understood, of course.
It's not just the neighborhood. I mean, there's people from all over Linfield who are certainly coming to these meetings, and I do appreciate the opportunity the 3 times we've had to kind of voice our concern.
And we'll continue that with the group.
Yeah.
Did they give you any data when the building size got reduced and when they took out the drive-through, what the reduction is in trip count?
I'm sure they did. I don't have that with me.
Okay.
Because I wasn't here for a presentation on the merits of the case.
Yeah, because I know when we met with the CVS execs after that second meeting, they were pretty adamant about they wanted that drive-through, and that was their model. And for them to pull it out shows that they really want to work with the town in some way to get their store in here.
Right.
I just never got any data on what difference that made.
I can certainly get any of that you want. I mean, I'm happy to do that, and I'm sure CVS is very, I hate to use this word, but I'm going to say transparent in terms of producing the documentation they have that shows the traffic counts and everything. I mean, they've been very upfront on that, and I think, as Tom mentioned, it was a pretty good report. You might not agree with it, you might not like it, but it was well done, it was based on facts.
Well, I think that's going to be some important information that at the next meeting for the residents in the area to know, as well as everyone else in the town that's interested in this.
And we'll communicate that with them.
And that's going to be, because as you have stated, there's many other types of businesses that could go in there, and they could have, they could not have to have any requirement that we approve it. They could go there by right. And have more traffic count than CVS. That's why it's important to know what trip count we're talking about.
And there is one other thing to keep in mind, and that is, I think CVS told us, and Jason will correct me if I'm wrong, I think they told us that there is only 1 or 2 CVSs they have ever closed. So you're talking about a long-term partner here, not somebody that's going to be in for 5 years and then try to pass it on to somebody else.
Right.
I think that's important. If I were in the neighborhood, it would be important to me because I get somebody I can always go and yell at, as opposed to somebody different every week.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know this is not why you're here, and this you have the right to obviously file this as a warrant article with your signatures, and that's going to go through fine. You have the right to do that. We can't deny it.
Right.
But what I'd like to see at your next meeting is obviously the traffic count.
Sure.
And what change it did to pull out that space as well as the drive-through, and we had talked before at the meeting, second meeting, that we were talking about widening that street to have a better traffic flow going through. Because if anybody wants to take a right, they can clear those lanes out earlier.
It makes good sense. I agree with that.
And have that as part of your proposal.
Yeah. I'm happy to talk with them about all those things. I don't know if the group that is going to meet with them has picked a meeting date yet. Does anything happen, Heather, on that?
I don't know what group specifically you're referring to. I mean, we've just been sent letters to come to a meeting, so we just have active citizens in South Linfield who are opposed to CVS. the project, so there are active neighbors who are aware of the meetings, but we don't have a specific, I don't know what the subgroup you're referring to that would meet specifically with CVS as well.
At the last meeting, it was requested that some of the interested neighbors who might to work in a smaller group to make communications easier and more readily available would sign up with, I can't think of the fellow's name.
It was on Monroe Street.
It was on Monroe Street. Kulikowski. And I think they had a sign-up list to neighbors that might be interested in getting onto a smaller group to facilitate more meetings. We're happy to take any suggestion from neighbors, any suggestion from the board members to CVS. I can't guarantee the result of it, but we are more than happy to take them.
But I think, Mr. Guy, I think to piggyback on what Heather said, but certainly there's strong opposition to this project as it stands, and I think there's a lot of requests. Certainly, I was surprised they took the drive-through away. Someone had told me once they said they'll never get rid of that drive-through, and they removed it. So I think there's certainly a lot on the table that we've requested at the last meeting, and whether there's that small group or not, I'm looking forward to the following meeting to see a follow-up to those requests.
And they'll provide that information to you.
I was looking at one of the graphs that they provided, which is the weekend graph for ins and outs for CVS and versus the current occupant of that site. So if the current occupant is closed on weekends.
I don't know that it is, Tom, actually. There was some discussion about that and about some vans in the park. You're talking to the wrong guy about the traffic study. You really have to talk to those guys.
So I was just wondering how, basically what that comparison was about, because when I talked to that gentleman, the traffic engineer fellow, who actually I have his card.
Call him up.
I think I will.
More than
Give him a call now. We'll have a chat with him. We got plenty of time. I just live down the street.
Put on the conference call right now, right?
My traffic's only bad in the morning and evening.
So, I mean, we did talk about this, and I think there may have been a minor oversight there. But we could chat with them
That's a
about
perfect example of a question. Anything like that, ask it. I think the reason and frankly, it was Jason and I who suggested meeting with the neighbors from the get-go, because we've been involved before, as Heather and some of the other people here know, with a couple of the other developments out there, and the neighbors do get affected by these, and we want the neighbors to have input. It's foolhardy, first of all. It's not even strategic. It's foolhardy not to do that for consideration of the neighborhood and also for consideration of an opening channel to discuss stuff and make the modifications such as you've seen so far.
Yeah.
We will plan to continue to do that. Do we change minds? I don't know, but we're going to work towards trying to present the best proposal that can be trimmed down, that still works for CVS, and hopefully is acceptable to the neighbors.
Excellent. I think we did ask, Selectmen turnover, I think we did ask that at the last meeting. So that weekend, I live right there, so I rarely see vehicles there on a Saturday or a Sunday. I don't think Our Lady of the Assumption's parking there. But it's a good question. I think that was one of the ones we've asked, so I know certainly you guys aren't the traffic experts.
We're not, but we'll certainly direct such questions to them.
But you're better, you're the attorneys.
Well, I'm smarter, but are any engineers here? I see you have a policeman at the door, so I'll cut this short. We would just ask if you would refer this to the planning board so they may take their statutory action.
And that's a procedural.
That's a procedural
piece
matter.
that we have to take care of anyways. I understand that.
This does not.
You didn't
do
think you were going to
anything.
get in and out of here easy, did you?
No.
It's not going to happen.
Fortunately, I charge by the hour, so keep chatting. I really.
Yeah.
Pat, would you go out and get us some beer? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, we have a question. Go ahead, come up to the mic.
Go, baby.
State your name and your address.
Canterbury Road. I just have a clarifying question on the article. Is this just a proposal for the residential property to switch to limited business and does not impact the existing limited business footprint?
That's correct. It does not
Okay.
change what is there. What it does is the gray area that you see there, on the left is the limited business now. That gray area is part of that 834 Salem.
Yep.
And it's being asked to amend the zoning map to include this.
Okay, is there any plan to follow this with another article to change the limited business?
No.
Thank you.
That has been changed, as I think everybody saw at the last couple of meetings.
Is that the line right there?
That has been changed, they're not gonna change it.
So there's a good chunk of it over there.
They're going
Okay.
for limited business only. Otherwise, they'd be asking for this to be general business.
Great.
So it's
Thank
all
you.
going to be limited.
Thank you.
That's the worst picture, too. Any other questions, Mrs. Campbell?
One comment that frequently in the CVS presentations, or their representatives, abutters and neighbors are referred to. There certainly are a lot of neighbors involved, and it's wonderful to see. However, this is an entire problem for the entire town of Lynnfield. It's not just neighbors and abutters that are interested and involved in the hearings. And I'm speaking for myself as well as for others. We all, I bet every driver in Lynnfield goes through that intersection at one time or another, and we've all encountered the problems of the traffic. And I would also point out that 2 bullet items down, you'll be talking about Union Hospital, which we hope will be kept open because it serves the Lynnfield citizens so well. But all of our emergency traffic has to go through that intersection. I wouldn't suggest that they try to go down Monroe Street or any place else when it's a life-threatening emergency. So I would ask the CVS representatives to please be aware that it's an entire Lynnfield problem. We have 3 ways to get out of our town unless we plan to go to Middleton or West Peabody. Main Street, Market Street, we know the problems there, and across Route 1.
Mr. Fox.
Good evening. My name is Jim Fox from Hawks Lane. I come to the dance very late because I'm not aware what's actually going on. I'm here tonight to support friends and other South Lynnfield people because we got to learn to stick together. That said, I don't understand exactly what's happening. Is the Bridgewell building being torn down?
Yes.
That's going to be torn down.
Correct.
Okay.
Isn't that the proposal, Mr. Kimball?
If the rezoning is successful,
Yep.
if the CVS site plan is approved, then as part of the process, the Bridgewell building would be removed and a new building built.
So
Correct.
if the Bridgewell building is removed, you don't have 3 floors of all this square footage that says that you have to have so many parking spaces. So it probably negates the need of changing the residential at all.
That's not the proposal. The proposal's
No,
a
what
bigger
they want to
footprint.
do is they want to change the residential part of that piece of property because they need to expand the parking. And they're using the excuse of expanding the parking because of the 3 stories of how many square feet it is. And that we have a bylaw or a rule or something that says for so many square feet, you need so many parking spaces. But if the intention is to tear the building down, you don't need as many parking spaces. So don't put the building onto that land. You don't need extra parking spaces either. I mean, think about it.
Mr. Kimball, you want to respond to that?
Well, if we tear the building down, no parking spaces are needed. However, we're going to build another building, at least in the proposal, which would require them. The building will be somewhat larger footprint-wise, as we mentioned, requiring more spaces. They also will have delivery trucks that must come in now, we've agreed, from Route 1. You're going to bring in a delivery truck, it's going to have room to circle around through the lanes in the parking area, as well as the parking spots for the cars. So it will be a somewhat bigger building, as we've already discussed. That will require additional parking and also more laneage to allow the delivery vehicles to come in and turn. Because they're going to have to come in and either back up or go around the building and then go out, one or the other, because they're going to have to go back out Route 1. So it's all kind of a plan that you've got to put together and fit it in. But that's, they need a bigger building that requires more land that's zoned, and it will also require more parking.
So, Mr. Fox, you understand they want to repurpose the land, demolish the building and make a bigger building?
I understand all of that. This gentleman stated that because of the size of the existing building, it requires X amount of parking spaces. And on that basis, they need to take this residential land to make more room for parking spaces. That was his original statement.
Not quite.
Not quite?
No. A number of parking spaces that are there now are satisfactory under zoning for the building that exists.
It's about the same square footage, the current building.
It's pretty close, I think. Again, I didn't come here to make a merits presentation. I'd be happy to do that at another time, I just don't have the information with me. But those of you who've been there have seen it, you've seen the proposals, you know what's going on. Space for parking is a function of size of building in this town. That's the way the zoning works, that's what it's all about.
I mean, currently the parking goes under the building. I mean, that's how,
There is also a room under the building.
Yeah.
I'm not sure whether they actually park under there or not. I
They
can't
do,
answer that question.
yeah.
Okay. So that provides more parking area with the design.
which that's on the proposal.
Mrs. Shea?
Katie Shea, 7 Daventry Court. The question that I have is the CVS meetings that I've been to, and correct me if I'm wrong, the current building that we have there is a 2-story building. So the footprint that CVS is looking to build on, they need a variance because their footprint of the building extends beyond the limitations of what's currently allowed there.
Their footprint will be larger, and it will require more land to accommodate the entire proposal. That's why we're asking to rezone some of the land contingent to it.
Right, but the diagram that at the last CVS meeting, they showed a dotted line that they needed a variance on the right-hand corner. Sorry, so the rezoning. Okay, so the rezoning of the property. So I know CVS has been trying to work with us, but the bottom line is they currently cannot live within the restrictions and limitations of that property. And correct me if I'm wrong, but from the meetings, what I heard was CVS approach Bridgewell to purchase that property. Is that property currently under MLS listing?
I have no idea. I wasn't involved in that part of it at all.
Okay, because that's what I heard, that CVS actually approached Bridgewell, and that there was not a traffic study done per se, because there is so much traffic going on Route 1 North, so there would be a lot of in and out traffic. But what I'd like to ask the board right now is, for the hardship that the neighbors could potentially face, because it is an F intersection right now, even if we widen that road by 3 lanes, there's still going to be traffic, and we still know that we have an emergency room that for the next 3 years, hopefully longer, we'll be putting our ambulances down this road. What is the upside for Linfield? In other words, if we allow them to have variances, the property will be more valuable, so we will be receiving more tax revenue. But how much incremental tax revenue will we incur? And is there any other financial benefit to the town of Linfield to move ahead with the project?
Well, Katie, that's what the discussion's all about, that's what these meetings have been with the CVS people. There is no upside for adding traffic to this area.
No.
You know, there's zero upside. As far as financially, I don't think we're going to get any more of tax revenues from this building than we would from the existing building. It's probably in the same ballpark.
But you're going to have more land that's zoned limited business, therefore that will be reassessed on a limited business basis rather than a residential.
Yeah, but it's not a big difference. It's not a big difference. You know what?
I think incrementally.
Yeah, it'll be a small incremental increase. It's not a big increase dollar-wise.
It's not a reduction, it's an increase.
But this has nothing to do with the property or the tenant. It has to do with traffic. It's a traffic issue that's not going to go away, and there's no good solution here. So, but we've been asked here tonight to refer this to the planning board. This is what this agenda item's about, and we do that anyways. We don't deny that. I know we want to discuss this, but I think the next meeting that we have with CVS, again, we'll all be there and have all this discussion. But as far as referring this to, do you have something on the referral, Heather?
No, I want to add my comment when you're done speaking.
Okay. Go ahead, say it now.
Heather Keane,
Yep.
Canterbury Road. So I think we need to do a little more research on CVS, Jay, because some have closed, and so they're, we're worried about that, and, I don't know if that's all factual, that none have closed.
No, I said 2 have closed, and that was presented by the CVS representative. I'm sure we can check with her if you like.
Information on the internet on that.
If you know
but,
more, I'd be happy to
yeah,
have it.
and we can research that for you. But I'm concerned, I want to back up Katie's comments as well as Pat, about the ambulance and rides to Lynn Union Hospital. I want to talk about safety of school buses. I want to talk about how it's going to impact us and our property value.
as the renderings from the architect that were shown to us in the third meeting, the front door to CVS will be facing our house on Canterbury Road. We're talking about neon signs. Right now in South Linfield, we don't really have any protection on signs. We have a lot of things facing us in South Linfield. Traffic certainly is one thing. But what I'd like to know from everyone, selectmen, I'd like to see a yes or a no answer, pretty straightforward, of how you feel about the CVS project for South Linfield, straight up. Do you think it's good for us or not? I know, Chris, you live in South Linfield, and I know, Tom, you've been very supportive to us in the whole project, and I really appreciate that. So we feel that you have our back, and we know folks have been present, but I'd like a straight-up answer of what you think it's going to do, how it's going to impact us, and how it affects not only South Linfield mostly, but the rest of the town. We have a lot of traffic problems going on.
Well, Heather, I'll speak first, being certainly a resident. I mean, there's no question my support of South Linfield. Certainly, I was the one that started the discussion on Pearly Borough. I was the resident that moved in that direction and worked with the Board of Selectmen, so there's no question on where I stand in South Linfield. In the papers and at the meetings, you know where I stand on this project. There, as Phil said, there was discussion, is there any upside? There is no upside right now for the CVS project. Absolutely not, so it's a no.
The devil you know, it could be this, it could be that, it could be a pizza. I don't want to hear it's the devil you know, it could be a pizza parlor, it could be this, it could be retail, because, you know, we're not scared. We understand what's about to happen.
Yeah, here's the thing, as a resident of the South Linfield, I mean, certainly, do I think this is going to move forward? I think there's a small chance of, if any, of moving forward. For me not to be a concerned neighbor to say, what could be the alternative in that spot? That would be naive. Absolutely, I'm going to think what the next step is for that property. And I'm going to be the first one right there when that Bridgewell, if it is sold, to be a vocal opponent to something I see going there, whether it's a sub shop, retail, whatever it is, to be there like I was at Pearly Borough. We saw results at Pearly Borough. We're going to see results for this property, so there's no question on me. Thank you.
Well, Heather, you know where we all stand on this. I mean, everybody's been vocally against anything that's going to increase traffic in this area. It affects the entire town.
Is that a yes or no?
Is yes or no that we're against it? Yes, we're all against it. We've been all verbally against it since day one. So, you know, and I think you know that.
And so we Chris?
You know?
Jeez, I don't know how else I can say it. I'm opposed. I mean, is there? Yes. I mean, how else? I mean, could I say it any better? No. And it's
yeah, but our job here is to review what's put in front of us and give you the options. For us to say that something else could go in there, that's true. And no one's trying to scare you. We're saying something else could go in there. It will go in there. They're going to sell the building. Bridgewell's too big for that property now. Something's going to go in there, whether it's CVS or another vendor of some type or another fast CVS type store. I mean, it depends what it does to the traffic flow. All right, that's your big problem here. Okay, so is 500 new trips a day going to be acceptable to anybody? Probably not. No. You know, no one wants one more traffic trip going there, all right? But something is going to go there, and it is going to create some traffic flow, you know, and the property has a value to it. It's going to be based on that. So we're all trying to get the best proposal we can from CVS and make as many concessions to see if that's even tolerable. You know, if it's not, then it's, you know, they can still bring it to town meeting, and the town's going to vote on it, but it's going to have a lot of opposition. When you do a zoning change, it's a 2/3 vote. Okay? Well, what do we get at town meetings typically? 200 people. Okay? So you get 50 or 60 neighbors. This is not going to go through. You know, and I'm sure there's other people in town that are all going to support your cause. So it's going to be a tough sell for them no matter what. Okay, would you go ahead and walk up to the...
I also wanted to comment, Heather, as you know, I strongly support your neighborhood with this matter. Currently, after going to all these meetings, I haven't seen a whole lot of people in favor of this, Mr. Kimball. I mean, you've been there too as well. But we all need to go through the process. Everybody has their rights, so we have to go through the process. And if something can be worked out, it's up to the neighborhood. But for me, the most important thing is the neighborhood needs to get what they want, because you're going to have to live with it. I'm on the other side of town. this isn't going to impact me. However, being a good neighbor, I would want to support how people feel in your neighborhood with that. Secondly, the traffic is atrocious now, and to add something with the number of ins and outs, so to speak, of traffic going in and out of that parking lot, and we know that there's going to be people that are going to insist on going out into Salem Street during busy hours, and I only hope that there won't be a horrific accident. So it just doesn't seem to be a good fit.
Yes, sir.
Hi, Joe Jacoby, 36 Canterbury Road. Selectman Terranova, not to correct you, but it is the whole town's problem. Whether you live in Sherwood Forest, Wildwood, South Linfield, Main Street, or up by Walnut Street, sometime, like somebody says, you have to go through that intersection. That intersection is not only, the problem isn't only putting a CVS there with added traffic. There are multiple problems there. You got people heading out towards Route 1 from Goodwin Circle that decide they want to take a left to go into Donovan's Liquor, right into oncoming traffic. There's no sign there that says no left turn. You have people coming off rush hour, coming off, going from southbound, going towards Lynn. You have people going to the left towards Linfield Center, down Summer Street. So no matter what CVS proposes, an added lane, it's not going to make a difference. You have traffic the other way. There's a problem with Goodwin Circle, with the backup, which we have 2 state highways there. It's up to the state highway department to resolve that. And so far, no one I know of has approached our state reps, our state senators, to have the DOT take a good, hard look at that whole traffic flow there. So that's another issue. And on a closing note, is there any way we can take that property by eminent domain and put a park up there for the kids?
We can. I think that's a great idea. I think that's something.
Because we don't have a park for the kids in Linfield.
Yeah.
They're playing basketball in the street. They're playing hockey in the street. There's cars in the street. There's a safety issue. We need something for our kids down there. I don't have any more kids. I have grandchildren, but there's still a lot of young kids in there that need a safe place to play.
Well, that's been the goal for the Pearly Borough property.
Yeah.
The goal for the Pearly Borough property was to make that a park. I'm not sure the Bridgewell property would be the best spot because it's so close to, but it's a good idea. But the Pearly Borough property, if we could clean it up, it'd be good. But excuse me, Mr. Fox, to address the Mass DOT, I have met with Mass DOT and we have discussed it. And there's actually an engineering study that brings some of that traffic off of Route 1 behind the Holiday Inn and over to the Goodwin Circle Rotary that was done about 7 or 8 years ago, that it kind of fell by the wayside. Now Senator Tom McGee is the head of the transportation. He's the chair of the Transportation Commission. He and I have already spoken. We're going to set up a meeting with some of the reps from the different towns to go over that engineering study again and see if we can get some traction on that, because it would divert a lot of that traffic from the Peabody and Lynn group that now takes that left or takes that right. This would have more to do with the traffic that's coming from the north, and it would filter it behind the Holiday Inn on a separate ramp. It would bring it right over to Goodwin Circle. So that engineering study, it had a lot of traction several years ago. The different politicians that were in place at the time all kind of went different directions, and it just sat there. So now that Senator McGee is the chair, I brought it back to his attention, and we in the near future are going to have a meeting on this with Leah Cole from Peabody, and we're going to get the Danvers representatives on there also, because it involves several towns. So that is in the works.
Joe, I think on the parks with the Pearly Borough, I know there's that connection to Salem Street. When I started that discussion, we saw action, we're starting to see some movement, positive movement on that. I think that's a good solution for that area, because I think over that side of Route 1, our side, there is no recreational opportunities for kids. So absolutely, I think that's we're moving in a good direction. Thank you.
Joe, I've also reached out to the representative of Herb Chambers, that if Herb Chambers was to work out a deal with Mr. Donovan for his property, that if Mr. Chambers would be so kind as to make a donation to this town, it would be extremely helpful if we take care of the section of town in which he's moving his business into. So I strongly recommended to his attorney that he communicate with everybody in the neighborhood to find out what they would like, and then pursue that, whether it be solving a water problem, whether it be a park, whether it would be putting up a gate to stop cars from going down Canterbury up into the Commons, different situations. So I already have explored that. Also, the engineer for CVS, he's also in the process of reaching out to MassDOT to see what could be done there. Him and I chatted for quite a while, and the biggest problem you have is the physical restraints of the road. You're looking at an eminent domain issue. You have to take some property somewhere because you need to go wider, which isn't a huge problem. So, I think... And that's a part of, and that's the part of the planning study, not a traffic study. We can count cars like we did twice down around Market Street. And to be quite frank, what we know now is what everybody voiced their opinion about a year ago. Right. Except it didn't cost any money. Now we paid twice to find out to reconfirm the same information, and it would be a shame to go down in that same wrong way in this situation. If CVS is going to pursue this, have them spend good money, and that is look for a plan for us, a solution. Not just, okay, the road can't take the count. Oh, great. We had no idea about that. Let's move in a more positive vein, and let's look at, well, what is a solution? Help us with this. Is there another road? Can you make it wider? Help us. So that's,
Yeah, no, and these are discussions we can have later on at some of the CVS meetings, but I'd like to move on with what Mr. Kimball's been requested us to do. He'd asked us to take a motion to refer this over to the planning board as required by law. So I'd take a motion to refer the zoning change at 834 Salem Street to the planning board. Gentlemen?
I make a motion to refer the rezoning change at 834 Salem Street to the planning board for consideration.
Is this something by operation of law we need to do?
Yeah, it's procedural.
I'll second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Kimball?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kimball.
We are aware of it. I've lived in this town a long time. I know we've got traffic problems, and now it's changed. We will encourage them, as we have, and we take a little bit of credit for having to move as they've moved so far, to continue to move in the right direction.
Right.
We do recognize the dangers and the problems down there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next item tonight, we have Mr. Alan Dressios here with the traffic study on South Common Street. Would like to present?
So thank you.
Say again?
Council, if we're not going to make that.
Not well said. Tom, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. The planning board recently asked MAPC to help with envisioning solutions for town center. I guess the question is why? Well, Linfield's master plan cites specific areas of concerns that involve traffic and safety in the square. Some of the things that were proposed in the master plan was closure of one of the streets, limited truck traffic, increased police enforcement, and more parking. With the purchase of the center farm, we have an opportunity now to maybe address some of those problems. So we've asked MAPC to come in, help us out with some visioning sessions. This is under a scope of work that is funded by the Unified Planning Working Program, i.e. it doesn't cost the town anything. That's going on right now. So the South Common Traffic Study was done by CTPS, which is the planning arm of the Highway Department. We used real police data that the police department gave CTPS to work with. And they're now done with the traffic counts, and they've done some preliminary design work of a single street coming down through here instead of the divided road. There's no specifications on it at this point. They don't have any specifics designed up yet. And being engineers, they don't like giving you anything until everything's done. So they're holding off right now on what's telling us. But we can move forward with a study. We don't need to have that information. So the next event that MAPC plans to conduct will be on the 22nd of this month at the Concert on the Commons. They plan to set up a table and ask for inputs from people, drop by, talk with people, see what type of ideas they have. So we're trying to solicit ideas from the townspeople. What do you think of this? What do you think of that? Do you have any ideas? I know people from Townscape and people from the Historic Commission have come up with plans in the past, so those would be helpful to bring to the meeting and give them to MAPC reps. So what I'd like to say is that MAPC will be in earlier in the day, so if there's any meeting with town boards or town entities, they'd like to do that, and they're also going to take time to talk with local businesses. So it's really do a good effort here. So if you have any inputs, make sure you come down the 22nd, Concert on the Commons, have the concert, do a little talking with MAPC, bring your ideas down. Anything will work here. You could go whatever you wanted to do, and MAPC will digest it all, and hopefully we'll come up with some plans to use. But it's very important, though, if you have an idea, write it down, because if you just tell them verbally, it's liable to get lost in the weeds. So come on down on the 22nd and voice your opinions. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Alan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
Any comments or questions from the audience?
MAPC,
Metropolitan Area Planning Council.
Planning Council.
Mm-hmm.
Alan, I have one question.
Sure.
Outside of the master plan saying to look into this,
Right.
are you aware of any citizens that have complained about these roads?
The master plan.
Short of the master plan.
Well,
Has anybody said, Alan, I got a problem with this road, it's not working for me?
Well, maybe you don't understand how we developed into the information to say this in the master plan.
Mm-hmm.
This came from multiple meetings on the town center. We had a meeting at the town center, then we had a general meeting of the whole town, then we had a meeting of South Linfield, and these were conducted with hundreds of people. If you look at the policy statement and the master plan, in the back end of it, you see the advertising we did, you see the number of people that showed up these meetings, and it was literally hundreds of people.
Mhm.
And you see how we went through this. So this was a really...
And they wanted this road closed?
Yes, this was one thing that came right up to the front, was the closure of one of the streets.
Could you tell me why?
That's what the people suggested.
People wanted it?
That's what they wanted, yes.
And when was that done?
That was 2000, roughly.
2000?
I think maybe we should see what the people today want?
Well, that's why MAPC's coming up.
Okay.
Exactly.
Mrs. Campbell?
Thank you.
I participated, first of all, I was the person that asked for a master plan in the first place. I was the person that was planted the idea that the town needed a new master plan. And I did participate in a lot of the meetings. I think in response to what people said, the consultants came up with these ideas. I think that's how it was, right, Alan? It wasn't that people said, this about the town center and that about this is what needs to be done. The consultants came up with the ideas that Alan has just mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And it was well participated in. I think we should have a lot of traffic in front of Mr. Kimball's house.
Patricia, why don't you come have a beer on the porch after you leave the house?
I got a strong feeling, Mrs. Campbell, that's why the Kimballs are still here. To see how much traffic's going to be funneled into their house. But there's been plenty of plans over the years. Don Ross had a great plan years ago. Shut off South Common, widen the street, move over the town meeting house, shut off Arlington Street, all these great ideas. But, it's some things just can't work out the way you want. The post office renewed their center post office, so we couldn't take that property. You're not going to shut off, the library can't fit there anymore. All these other things that are going on. So it might be time to, it's part of the CFAC charge, too, is what to do with some of the stuff. So, but
But that's Linfield.
It is, it's the center of Linfield.
For 100 years.
I know. Well, that's why we bought Center Farm, to maintain the center of Linfield. And will these changes improve it? Well,
What's the matter with the Common Street?
the South Common Street?
Yeah.
Alan, do you have an answer for that?
People don't stop.
Evidently, she still likes the Common the way it is.
The biggest reason for taking one of the streets away was to open the Common up into a bigger, greener area.
Right.
If you had South Common Street more or less gone, and you had a new street somewhere in there, more towards the Don Ross concepts, that would give you a larger green area there. You opened up Center Farm a little bit, take away a lot of the trees and scrub brushes that are in there, define where the cemeteries are, historic cemeteries. That sort of brings the meeting house, the cultural center, the graveyards, and the Center Farm all into one green area. So when you come into town, boom, you see it. It opens up the whole area.
But how are you going to get in and out of Main Street, like the fire trucks, the police, and ambulances?
That's why we
On one street?
that's why we have MAPC and CTPS doing that work, and not us thinking like this. You may not be able to do it.
There'll be a beautiful stoplight right in front of the Kimball's house. Everybody will love it. With the left and right arrows, it'll be beautiful.
You guys. Will it have a walk button?
Yeah.
I hope it does. I have a seat plan.
By the time it happens, it'll be a walker button.
Mr. Kim, you've had trouble with people literally, you've had trouble with people
I'm going
literally.
to South Linfield this happened.
Canterbury Road.
Jason, do you have
Jason wanted to say something.
I mean, how are you going to get back and forth?
Jason.
There's something going on in the Common, does not matter if somebody's getting married in the church across the street.
Mr. Kimball has a whole different plan.
I have a wonderful plan. It's called Do Nothing, actually. I can give everybody a nice little traffic study that we recently had last week at our concerts on the Common. We shut down South Common, and even in July, there was magically traffic from the town hall all the way down to Summer Street. Over the years, I've been in charge of 90% of the things that happen in the Common between Veterans Day and Memorial Day, concerts on the Common, the chicken barbecue, and every time without fail, whenever it is that we shut down South Common, there is terrible traffic there, and I mean terrible. I want to point out a couple different things here. The master plan that Mr. Trejo speaks of an outlet called New South Common Street that goes down the 9th hole and the 8th hole of the golf course and comes out where the middle school is. Reason being, we have traffic. That would help to alleviate the traffic problems. That's really the biggest issue. If you want to create a traffic problem, this is the best option. If you want to have a stoplight in our downtown area, then that's another option. I happened to be at the planning board a couple summers ago where a draft proposal was put forth and showed a traffic light and it showed a gigantic island down the middle of Main Street. Problem with that is if you want to, we understand that there's apparently some issues with people turning around in Sparhawk Lane because they're having issues with the GPS. Well, if you come out of the old center where the Christie's Market was, you take a right, you got to turn around on Beaver Ave and then come back this way. You're also going to stop a lot of access, too, to a lot of people that live around the area, all for nothing. In addition, how much is this going to cost? I know there's talks of possibly moving the meeting house, which I find shocking for a variety of reasons because, number one, that is our historic area. If you go back and take a look at the town meeting, I think it was 1962 or 1963 when we created the Historical Commission, the idea was to protect the downtown area. That's it. Just the downtown area, Center Farm, the meeting house, my dad's house, that entire area. That's the entire purpose of it. I've heard some rumors that, the meeting house was once in a different spot in on the Common. Well, if you turn to, I brought my Wellman's book from 1635 to 1895, and if you turn to page 27 at the very bottom, this is relating to the meeting house. It says, several efforts have been made to remove the building from its original site, but none have yet succeeded. So, actually, originally, interestingly enough, if it was South Common that had moved. The meeting house was in the original spot, and South Common was a little bit closer to the meeting house. In fact, on page 28 of Wellman's, it says, it, referring to the meeting house, is located on one side of a pretty park. Linfield Common is in the shape of a triangle, and the old meeting house is on the eastern side. When it was built, the highway ran through the middle of the Common, so that the front, or as it was called, the forward door, was on the west side of it. So the triangle of the Common actually had South Common going closer to the Meeting House. So the Meeting House is in the same spot. It's by far the most historic entity here. I really see no way and no ability to move the Meeting House or change any of this around without really destroying what really is history, which is the Meeting House Common, the Congregational Church. And I know the Planning Board wants to put forth the scenic bylaw, which the intent of that is to protect the way our community looks. We're not protecting it. And I don't understand why the board would want to put forth that law and then turn around and change the schematics of the most important area of our town. So I think this is a waste of everybody's time, and it will create a massive problem. We have a concert in common this Wednesday. If someone wants to come down and wait on traffic on Summer Street, by all means, please come down between 6 and 8 o'clock, because South Common will be shut down. My family's been there since the early 70s. I think my grandfather moved the firm to the center of town in the 50s. We've seen traffic out there for a long, long time. Yes, there is traffic. No, this plan will not fix the traffic issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
So you're not in favor, Jason?
No. In a word, no.
That sounded like a no to me.
Just wanted to confirm.
Alan, thank you for that. Okay, the next topic we have is the Union Hospital status. We were asked to, a year ago, we were asked to sign a petition to save Union Hospital and keep it in its current location with inpatient services, emergency services, and the Board of Selectmen at the time did. We have a different board now, but I believe we all still feel the same way. We now asked to write a letter to Partners Healthcare, and we've put together a letter for that purpose. I'll read it to you so you can hear what I'm going to say to him. It says, on behalf of the Lynnfield Board of Selectmen, I would like to register the board's strong opposition to Partners Healthcare's plan to effectively shut down Union Hospital. Union Hospital provides a valuable and needed service to not only the residents of Lynnfield, but the entire North Shore. The plan put forth by Partners Healthcare to move the inpatient beds to Salem Hospital and close the emergency room after 3 years with movement of the emergency room to Salem at that time puts the health care and well-being of the residents of Lynnfield at significant risk. Currently, over 50% of the 911 transports for the town of Lynnfield go to Union Hospital. Closure of the Union emergency room will increase transport times to emergency care for the residents of Lynnfield, putting their health and well-being at significant risk. In addition, the ambulance will face significant delays in returning to service as it negotiates traffic delays coming back to Lynnfield. Additionally, closing the emergency room to Salem will only lead to the overburdening of emergency rooms at other area hospitals, increasing wait times and treatment times for our residents. This is unacceptable. At a minimum, Union Hospital must retain an emergency room presence in Lynn. This simple fact could be the difference between someone in Lynnfield living or dying. Union Hospital is also the facility of choice for the majority of our residents who need non-911 transport to a hospital. Over 60% of our non-emergency transports go to Union Hospital. These trips will now be sent elsewhere, once again increasing the amount of time that our ambulance will be tied up on a call. The longer our ambulance is out on service, the more expensive it is for the town, and having to bring personnel in to cover the station while we wait for the ambulance to return. When the ambulance transports to Union, it is so close that we consider it still to be in service, negating the need for us to call personnel into the station. This is not the case when the ambulance is at Melrose, Wakefield, or Salem hospitals. Closing Union Hospital will have a long and potentially devastating impact on the residents of Lynnfield and the surrounding North Shore communities. We urge that you reconsider your decision and keep Union Hospital as a viable alternative for our residents to get their medical care. So that's a letter we'd like to send over to Partners Healthcare, and I think it expresses how we feel about it pretty strongly. Yeah. So, Mrs. Campbell.
May I suggest that you send a copy to the Attorney General, who is, I think, there's going to be a meeting, and the request is going to be to have the Attorney General start an investigation on that. So, and also the Department of Public Health, the Commissioner of the Department of Public Health, you might want to send copies to them as well.
Okay, sure. AG.
We'll also copy our legislative delegation on that.
And, yeah, the Lynn. And Mr. McGee, when you talk with Tom McGee, he's against the closing of the hospital.
Right, and he has a meeting come up that I'm going to attend. And so does Mr. Ralph Sevenor from our town. He's going to be running a meeting over in Lynn.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
so these are all,
Hoping to get there myself.
yeah, these are all important meetings for us to attend. And, you know, I think everyone's on the same page. I haven't heard anybody that hasn't felt the same way about it, so.
I think, I'd like to say that this is a great letter. I appreciate they were putting this letter together. I think as the chief should concur, he knows far better than I do that every minute counts on an emergency response. And to move Lynn, Union, and the services to Salem, that's a big blow to Linfield and the region. There's jobs tied to it. I live with my elderly mother, and I know that she has a lot of her services at Lynn Union. But there's also a lot of, then there's the question of what happens with that site. And the same question we're having with Bridgewell, certainly there's going to be questions of what happens there, and then Salem Street becomes, there's another whole issue. But I think, I mean, we hear the ambulances a whole lot, and to think that that will be cut off from Linfield, just for the regular care and emergency response services, just, this is going to be a big blow. And I know they're going to maintain it for 3 years. We really have to stress to our delegation, I think to the governor too, him being from Swampscott, understanding the region as well as he does. Chief?
I think the article in the paper said it could take up to 3 years to close.
Yes.
Not necessarily 3 years.
Not necessarily 3 years, but up to 3 years. So it could be sooner.
So the clock is
obviously.
ticking.
Yeah, so the clock, yep. So we'll get that out, we'll get that out tomorrow.
Are there other situations like this that have happened? Has anyone done any research to find out just how much power we have to stop something like that?
Well, it's the AG's office that has the power to make a difference there. So that's why this would have to go to the AG's office. We have to get our legislative branch, involved, and they do have power. Yeah, they have the power to make us. Yeah, it can happen. So that's why you have to pursue it. You normally think in a private entity that you can't make any change, but this type of thing you can.
Campbell had mentioned there's a meeting on Wednesday night. Pat, can you just tell them what it's about?
Right. And Phil apparently is aware of it as well.
Yep.
It's going to be held at Wayne Alarm Systems next, that will be this Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
The Sevenor is the president of Wayne Alarm. There is parking there, I checked it out today, at 424 Essex Street at 6:30 p.m. Essex Street in Lynn.
Yep.
And the other thing is, you might even send copies to Judy Flanagan Kennedy, the mayor of Lynn, and the city council in Lynn, because the politicians in Lynn pretty much are, I don't know anybody that's not opposed to it.
Right.
This is a big blow. It's a big blow for the city of Lynn. I mean, to think that they lose a hospital of this magnitude for the city of Lynn with the challenges they have is a big blow.
90,000 people in Lynn, or 91,000 perhaps now, and when they did the study, the feasibility study, Linfield didn't have all of their multiple dwellings at Linfield Common, at Arbor Point, at Colonial Village. There's so much more now in Linfield, and so many more people to serve.
Right, I agree.
Yeah.
So we'll get that out.
There is a process that has to be gone through with the Attorney General, with the Department of Public Health, but just as a cautionary note, as a South Shore person, Stewart Hospital just closed Quincy Hospital. And Quincy is about a city the same size as Lynn, and the Attorney General is looking into whether or not they follow the proper procedures, the proper notifications, but the reality is that Quincy Hospital is closed.
Right, yeah.
So the courts did deny Mass Partners closing 2 other hospitals, though. Because they were planning to take the
they didn't
mental health units from 2 other places and put them in Lynn, but the courts denied
They denied in the purchase of a bunch of hospitals, also the consolidation of, I think Melrose Wakefield was in there, I know South Shore Hospital was in there, and the state denied that, but it is a reality that could face us because it just happened on the South Shore.
No, thank you.
Well, hopefully, Phil's letter will go a long way, and we should all do our best to attend this meeting on Wednesday evening, because losing the Union Hospital is critical to our community.
Yep. All right, next item we're going to talk about is the authorization of Action Ambulance to represent the town in EMS billing. Would you like to discuss that, chief? Or was that from you,
He's been
Jim?
waiting patiently. I'll give you the update.
I wanted to give him a chance to do, you know, he might want to get up or something.
You want to do it, chief? You want me to do it? You've been waiting so patiently.
I can speak to some of it.
Go for it, chief.
Over the years, the insurance companies have decided that when we send them a bill for ambulance transport, they're going to pay a usual and customary amount, and that amount is somewhat arbitrary. So the legislature, in their wisdom, passed a law that says that insurance companies can't do that. So what Action Ambulance would like to do, they're our billing company, is go back 6 years and take these usual and customary fees and say, you owe us the money for the rest. And the theory is that it could bring us pretty significant amount of money back to the town that we didn't have before, and maybe help right the ship on the ambulance enterprise account.
Are they doing that on a percentage basis for themselves?
They are not.
No?
That's part of our fee that we pay them as a billing company. They just need authorization from you to send out the letters.
Okay.
And the goal would not be to bill residents more money. It's for the insurance companies to pay what they should be paying us.
So it's no cost to the town?
No additional cost to them, yeah.
The reason this has come to the board is they're, in essence, acting as our attorneys.
Okay.
So I can't authorize them to be the legal representative of the town. It has to come from the board. If it didn't require that, then we would have done this as a matter of course.
Okay. Well, it sounds like a win-win for the town.
When was this new legislation passed that allows this billing process?
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
So we need an authorization from the board here to allow the Action Ambulance to do the billing for the EMS in Linfield?
Well, they already do the billing, the authorization is done to pursue.
The EMS billing that, for uncollectible items, or how we, if you should have more description to it?
No, to pursue the uncollected.
Uncollected EMS billings?
Yeah.
Okay.
What are we looking at right now for uncollected?
Just for, what they told us, just for motor vehicle,
Yeah.
would be about $36,000.
So it's 36 that we're leaving right now.
That's just motor vehicle. That doesn't include health insurance, just motor vehicle.
Okay.
Include what? Speak up, please.
Doesn't include health insurance. It's only motor vehicle insurance for $36,000. So they haven't put a number on the rest of it, but
You
it
don't know
would
what
be.
the outside is?
It would be.
I would imagine that would be much bigger.
Substantially more, yeah.
Much bigger, yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to authorize Action Ambulance to represent the town. I'm sorry? Do you have a question?
I second that.
We have some discussion before. So
Yes.
let's see, Mr. McDonough.
Yes, Mark McDonough, 167 Fork Road. So we are in effect going to be doing balance billing, is that what we're doing? Balance billing is when an insurance company says, this is how much we're going to pay you for service, and you say, okay, that's it, like Medicare. Medicare says we're gonna pay you that much, that's it.
The Medicare, we accept what Medicare pays. This is balance billing for the insurance companies who arbitrarily set a figure for their usual and customary.
Okay, so after that, after you do this, we will not be balance billing them. We will just take what the...
Correct.
Okay.
No, what we're doing is right now, the insurance company, and I'll just use arbitrary numbers, if the bill's $2,000, they're sending us $1,750, because
Right.
that's what they're saying they're paying. So we're going back after the $250.
Okay, I understand that, but from this point on, we will be going for the figure that the state allows us to, but if the insurance company doesn't pay it, are we going to balance bill?
The insurance company, yes.
Balance bill insurance
if the
company.
insurance
So there'll be
company-
no balance billing of Linfield residents.
If the insurance company doesn't pay it, we will go after the insurance company to pay that
Okay,
difference. But we will not be chasing down residents to pay
Okay,
that bill.
there'll
Is
be
that
no
what you're asking?
balance billing of residents.
There are, I mean, you have your deductibles that have to be met.
Right.
And, you know, so the portions that your insurance doesn't cover, there's a possibility that, that's no different than we've been doing all along. That if you have deductibles that need to be met or whatever, that's part of the ambulance bill.
That's balance billing, which we shouldn't be doing. I was a selectman when we set up the ambulance billing. The firemen made a big concession to set this up. And if we are going to balance bill Linfield residents, especially seniors, then the firemen should say, whoa, why are we doing this?
We're not going to be chasing the residents, we're only
Okay.
chasing the insurance companies. Yes.
So that's what I want to make clear.
Right.
There'll be no balance bill.
Not our intention to be sending bills for this
Not
to the
for this,
residents.
but for future services, we're not going to balance bill.
Well, we send
Take what the insurance companies pay, we take what Medicare pays, and that's it.
We take what Medicare pays, but the insurance company will have to pay the bill that we send them. They are not
right, that's
legally
fine.
allowed to not pay it.
All right.
But what your individual insurance is, if I take an ambulance ride, I have a copay or a deductible that I have to make. But that's to the insurance company or
The
whoever.
insurance company.
But we're not going to be chasing residents for this bill. We're chasing the insurance companies for this. This is an unpaid portion that they haven't paid of previous
What
bills.
insurance the company's leaving on the table right now, we're
Right.
grabbing that.
Right, we want to
Not
go back and get
residents.
that. And we made
We'll have to revisit
it,
that
we
now.
made it perfectly clear to the billing company when we had the meeting that we do not want any residents to be getting bills.
Okay, that's fine. And from this point on, we will not balance bill. We're not balance billing now, we won't balance bill in the future. Just take what the insurance company cut you a check for, according to state law.
They have to cut us a check for what we bill them for, but
All
yeah.
right,
Right,
okay.
but Medicaid's always been, whatever they pay, that's what we accept.
Okay, right, that's fine. I just want to make sure we're not balance billing. Thank you.
Okay, there was a motion to approve this. There was a second.
Seconded it.
All those in favor? Aye. Go get him, chief. The next item is our fire chief's compensation. Mr. Boudreau.
Sure, under the chief's employment contract, he received a one-year contract with a salary, and then after the first year, the contract calls for the chief to negotiate a new salary for year two. His contract goes from January of 14 to January 15, and then he had a raise for January 15 that was never done. So he is actually, his contract requires that the board discuss and come up with a raise from January 15 to January 16. So I'm recommending, and the chief has agreed, that he be given the 2% COLA that the rest of the residents, or the rest of the employees receive for the fiscal year. And then next year, because I will have been here for the year that will be in question, we'll be able to do a full review of the chief and base his compensation on his performance.
Okay. And the COLA was going to be retroactive.
To January 1st. and
January
it's
1st, which is
budgeted.
covered in the budget.
It's covered in the budget, that's correct.
Any questions?
It's simple.
Makes sense?
Yeah. So, given that this is already covered by our budget, I'll make a motion to increase the fire chief's compensation by a 2% COLA dating back to 1/1/15.
I second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, chief.
There you go. And it only took you 3 hours to get to that.
That's not the part he's even here for.
He's here for the year-end transfers?
Well, he's got a couple.
Okay. End-of-year transfers is the next item. We'll have a schedule.
Sure. The board has a schedule in front of them. There are $69,166.08 in year-end transfers. That money is going to be transferred from the health insurance line. We had a surplus in health insurance. Part of that was a sizable credit from the GIC and our Part D subsidy. Those monies are going to be transferred to the following accounts. The first one is $4,800 to town administrator salary. There was a 1-week overlap between the former town administrator and myself. Also, Bill's buyout at the end of the year, his vacation and whatever else he was paid was a little higher than we thought. Let me make clear, none of that $4,800 is going to me. My contract is set, but that will cover the shortfall from the overlap with Bill when I started. Full-time salaries in the fire department, $22,238 and 30 cents. This is really based on two things. There was an additional position put in fiscal year 14. I don't think that was fully funded in fiscal 15 when we did the budget, as Chief Tetrall was rather new. There was also a retirement that we believe was coming in fiscal 15 that did not come to fruition. The savings were budgeted in the fiscal 15 budget. The employee changed his mind, so we ended up paying that higher salary. Fire alarm salaries, $1,232.46. This is almost all attributable to Market Street. The fire alarm people from our town have to make the final connection to the system. Obviously, there's a lot more business. He's had a lot more work to do to go up and do that. Unemployment insurance, If the board recalls, we actually transferred money out of unemployment insurance, about $15,000 at the town meeting. There was two pending cases going back to last June and last August that were denied. It was appealed by the employees. The town has been found responsible, and we just got a bill for $22,950 for unemployment. For people watching, the town is self-insured for unemployment, and so whatever we are required to pay out, we have to pay out. And finally, Medicaid FICA, 21,676.61. It's my understanding this has been an issue in the past that we just aren't calculating the FICA right. We tend to calculate it based upon what the average COLA is. We don't take into account that there's a lot of steps and lane increases in there too. This will fully fund it for the year, and for the fiscal 17 budget, we'll try to do a better job of funding that. I have to go back and look at the 16 budget, but this should pretty much close out our accounts for fiscal year 15. And again, this is being transferred from an existing budget, so this is not any addition to the overall budget.
Any questions? It was well explained.
I'll make a motion to approve the end-of-year transfers as presented.
I second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank you, Jim. (2015-2016) meeting schedule. Tom, I know you had some a vacation in September. Does that new meeting schedule work with that vacation?
Works fine. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I appreciate your flexibility.
Yeah, and
I think I appreciate you're able to do that for you, Tom. I think it's important that we're all here. There might be 1 or 2 Mondays this year. I might have a conflict with another engagement. Might not happen, but I'll have several months' notice.
yeah, if we know ahead of time, we can move those.
I'll let you know.
When you
Whatever we
know
need to
your
do.
conflict. I think we all have been flexible when things have come up. But if we could, if this is set now, we can just adopt this now, Bob, and then we'll make changes if needed. Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the Board of Selectmen meeting schedule for 2015-16 as presented.
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Put that in the calendar. Okay, we have a request for a block party on Homestead Road, and they'd like to block off the road for a time frame. Let's see, where is that? There it is.
25th.
Okay, block party on July 25th from 12:30 to 6 o'clock with a rain date of July 26th by the residents on the backside of Homestead. Well, we've done this for several years over my neighborhood, and it's usually makes for a nice party. Homestead's set up perfectly for it. It's kind of a quiet turn where they're going to do it anyway, so I certainly don't have any problem with this, as long as they keep the streets clear in case an emergency vehicle needs to be put through there, and they can get through. But they've been instructed of that, I assume. Yeah. Okay. Other than that, I don't have an issue.
Looks like it'll be a fun time. It looks like a great location.
Yep.
People still will be able to go down Chatham Way, Homestead, to wherever they want to go, so
Yep.
it's a perfect spot. So
If you ever go down Chatham and take a look at left on Homestead, there's about 500 kids' toys. You can tell there's a lot of young families down there. So, I'll take a motion to approve the block party.
So moved.
Second that.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Have fun, guys.
Yeah.
Next item, Knights of Columbus for July 18th, 2 to 6 p.m. for a birthday party. We've got a mom's 80th birthday party. They expect 55 to 60 people. On July 18th from 2 to 6, Knights of Columbus. It's been signed off on by the chief, Mr. Falzone, taking care of it. Don't see any issues here. Make a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second that.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay. We got the minutes from June 1st and June 15th. Look at June 1st. Anybody have any corrections or anything they want to change on that? Otherwise, I'll take a motion to accept.
I just had one question on page 11, second paragraph, when, that was the point when we were, I was asking about the change in the liaisons, and, I think Chris wanted me to communicate through the town administrator to you two gentlemen, and I wasn't sure if that was appropriate.
Yeah,
So
I like that's a good question, because I think it's a really good question, Tom. The one positive of being on the school committee is a committee of 5. And Jim, I've had this discussion with you. How is it that, I mean, the one thing that's big for me on the Board of Selectmen is that we don't have information introduced to us last minute. But I know, Tom, that's in there, but that's the restriction I think we have right now. We don't, maybe might not best understand how to communicate that information. How is it best that, like Tom had with the liaisons, to get that information to me, so that instead of in a meeting like that, we're looking at liaisons of a couple dozen? Or any issue.
It is not the
that.
dissemination of information that is a violation of the open meeting law.
Yeah.
It is the discussion of the information that is disseminated. So, when something like the liaisons go out, it is, if Tom had communicated back to me that he would like to consider swapping some liaisons, that is information that I believe could go out to the board prior to the meeting. The board can't discuss it, the board can't have any opinion on it, but at least the board would have it before the meeting, and they would know that Tom wanted to discuss this in that particular case. So the dissemination of information is not by itself a violation of the open meeting law. It is the discussion, or, hey, Phil, Tom told me that he wants to, well, let's tell Tom that he needs to, or Chris wants to, and well, Tom doesn't want to do that, that becomes...
Mm-hmm.
But it's more of the information, like that, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's like I can make a statement, so I could say, if you could just let everybody know that I'm interested in.
If you'd send me an email
Stops
saying,
there.
I would, I got the liaison list, I'd like to be considered for these, and then those can go out to the board, so at least the board's aware that it's going to be communicated. But it's a pretty fine line. You can't deliberate at all.
Yes,
Nor can you deliberate through me.
Right.
I talked to Tom, I talked to Phil, I talked to Chris, and this is what's going to happen. That's considered deliberation. But the dissemination of information for the board to have is not a violation of the open meeting law.
Okay.
But
So I think, in here, that was sort of the central point that I was making, and I'm not so sure that it's reflected in there. So I don't know if you want to update that to a certain extent.
I'm going to run, I think I know what you're talking about, but I want to make sure that I capture what the whole board thinks. During the discussion, Mr. Barrett said the chair appoints liaisons. Selectman Terranova could have had input. Selectman Terranova said it would be impermissible to discuss such matters outside of a posted meeting of the board. Do you feel that doesn't convey it? What?
I think that it sort of went a little further than that.
we want to go back and listen
I
to
can
it.
look at the...
Yeah, if you could.
I don't think it didn't get answered that night. You didn't give an answer like you did
I
tonight.
can try, I made the point. I think, what I was saying is that if Selectman Terranova had a desire for the liaisons, as he had mentioned that night, if he went through Jim, just to kind of let me know something, as I'm coming to the meeting, and we get this back on Friday or Thursday, I can have the opportunity to think about it. I mean, we won't deliberate, obviously not discuss it between Tom or Phil. But I think that was the thing we did very well on the school committee, is that we really...
It's a lot easier on a five-member board.
It's a lot easier, we know, but we also made decisions always the next meeting. We tried not to make decisions that night, so that the board had an opportunity to kind of think about it. And we're making some pretty big decisions, and I think the more information,
A lot harder
understanding
on
I
a
can
three-member
have.
board. It's a lot harder on a three, but it
Yeah.
also, in most of the communities where I've been, and as the past here, a lot of times the board didn't even vote on the liaisons. It was the chairman's prerogative. He came out the liaison list, and that was it. Having said that, depending on who the chairman is next year, there's obviously an understanding that Tom would like to maybe move some committees around, so.
Yeah, but for me, it's even beyond the liaisons. I think it's in general anything. I mean, if there's anything, maybe at the CVS meeting, if I went to the CVS meeting, I said, and maybe my two fellow selectmen were at the meeting, and I found out some information which I think may have been helpful to us tonight, through you to get that information to the two selectmen. I think it makes us a stronger board.
I don't think that, and I can get you an opinion, disseminating information to the board so the board is aware of things is not a violation of the open meeting law.
Okay.
The board saying, oh, I got this, I think we should vote to deny the CVS. I agree, that's a violation of the open meeting
Like
law.
Wednesday night with the Lynn Union Hospital meeting, if we all three of us can't make the meeting, and there's one or two, or if we're all three there, but if one is there and they hear certain information.
If there's a handout or something,
Yeah.
there's, and Michael, you might even be more versed on this than I am, but for me to scan that in and send it out saying, here's some information from the meeting that you might find interesting or helpful, that's not a violation of the open meeting law.
I think it makes us a stronger board.
It's not. And you know, I'll push stuff out to you guys, thought you might want to see this, thought you might need to know this.
Right.
As long as you're not talking about it or talking about it to each other through me, you're not violating the open meeting law.
It's helpful. We're out and about the town of Linfield hearing different information and ideas, and I think instead of waiting to August 17th, whenever our next meeting is, to say, I'll let my fellow board members, I think it puts us in a stronger position to do it that way.
Right. But if it goes through the town administrator, that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have any other issues with the minutes from June 1st?
So we'll take a look at those and bring those back for the
Have a
next
motion to
meeting.
accept the minutes from June 1st?
Do we want to edit?
Why don't we adopt the 15th and let Bob go back and check the minutes of the 1st to make sure,
See what the correction needs to be?
see if there's any
Okay.
corrections, then
How
we'll
about
bring
the
it back.
15th? Anybody have any,
15th, I'm fine.
Chris, anything on the 15th?
Nothing on the 15th.
So take a motion to accept the minutes for June 15th?
So moved.
Second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 The first, we'll wait till we get some clarification. Then we have,
Have a file,
Read that.
Gary, because those are the
I'll read it.
exhibits. So in case they appeal.
We do have an 80th birthday we want to acknowledge. We made up a letter from the board that says, on behalf of the Board of Selectmen in the town of Linfield, please accept our congratulations on the occasion of your 80th birthday and our wishes for your continued longevity, good health, and good fortune. Your service to our justice system as an attorney, assistant district attorney, acting clerk magistrate, and first assistant clerk magistrate are a credit to you and your family and your community. And congratulations on 80th birthday. This is going to an Anthony R. DePietro at 14 Hart Road, Linfield, Mass. So happy birthday, Anthony, and congratulations.
Happy birthday, Anthony. Many more.
Do you have an original of that? Okay, I got it. There you go. The minutes are set. Signing the warrants. Okay. The last thing I want to mention is I wanted to thank the Mass DOT for acting so quickly on changing that light at Market Street off of Walnut Street. We had a discussion with it. I had a private meeting with them, then we discussed it at our last Selectmen's meeting at Merit Center, and they promised they would get that done, hopefully within a week, and I think everybody knows that's been up there, that they did get it done within a week, so thank you very much.
I also would like to thank the DPW department and town administrator for working to follow through with a lot of the issues that we talked about regarding Walnut Street and Salem Street, that we're moving forward, and hopefully we'll get to a solid solution down there.
Okay, take a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn?
I second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night.
Good night, Linfield.